also want to win. They were looking forward to this match and probably until the events of Saturday quite confident of winning it. So I think they'll be want to have a real go tonight.
Gordon, have you ever seen anything like the events of Saturday at Ibrox?
Not really. I've seen events like that before. I've seen games get more out of hand, to be honest with you, but not the same consequences, not that people ordered off. And I think that the referee taking that decision was quite extraordinary to actually send 4 players off, because let's face it, in a lot of games that are played, the referee could make exactly the same sort of decision as that and send people off for bad language or the fouls, but they don't always take that route, and that was what was fascinating about Saturday's match.
Thanks, Gordon. Charlie, your view of the first of the sendings off then at Ibrox on Saturday. Pascali Bruno.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't there also, but Bruno had the reputation of he was going to mark Laudrup, and the big danger with doing that is that as soon as you come out fouls, you see here, there's actually a combination of Mackay and Bruno here, which foul. But by all accounts, he's been doing this the whole game, and he kept getting warned.
Jock Brown in commentary at the time said that's his 3rd offence, and he got the yellow card.
There's the example. So maybe the referee was patient. I mean, you look at this, and there's not really a lot in that. But, you know, he's booked after 3, and surely he must get it in his head that the next thing he does, he's got to go. But his antics when he gets sent off is a bit nearly ridiculous.
Steve, your thoughts on that one first?
Yeah, I think that he had enough chances early on in the game, as Charlie said. I think he had 3 or 4 fouls committed, quick fouls, quick in succession, and I think that the first booking was justified. Second one's a little bit harsh, but the referee's following the letter of the law, and I think that's the crux of the problem here. I think the referees are following the law that's laid down instead of speaking and having more communication with the players. I really think that's a problem.
Gordon, to what extent is it still in the hands of the referee to decide whether a man deserves either a yellow or a red, given that it's a clear offence?
Decision is normally subjective at the point it's made, and I think that they make their mind up then and there whether he's going to actually take action or not. You see, as often referees actually decide not to do anything. I mean, that's the one where David Weir sent off, and it was a swinging arm. The players have confronted each other. There's a nod of the head here. I don't think there's any contact made just at that point, and the referee has decided to take that decision. They've always got the choice. I mean, let's face it, we've seen a number of occasions in matches where the referee, knowing that a player is going to be sent off for a challenge, has a quiet word because he doesn't want to send him off for another bookable offence. But I honestly felt that David Weir had to walk there because of the confrontation situation and also the use of the head, even though he didn't make contact, there was intent.
Charlie, do any of these offences actually have different weighting because of the context of the game? At this point, Hearts are down by 2 men already. Yeah. They've only got 9 on the park. They're away to Rangers. Their backs are to the wall in any event.
Sure.
So does a referee need to exercise any discretion about what would be yellow card offences? We've got a couple here. Neil Poynton was the next.
I thought David Weir was a little bit harshly dealt with there, because I don't think he really made contact with Jury, but his intent was there. I mean, this is the first booking for Poynton, which you'll see him acknowledge here.
Yeah.
His hands right up right away. There's no denying it's a booking. And even maybe some referees could have took that further, but a booking was fair, I would say. But watch his position here, Paul. Look, he's just putting his arm up because he's not really in the true position. But this reaction, that's childish. It's nothing but childish to do that. And then point at the assistant referee. Now, you know the trouble's coming your way as soon as you do that.
So you don't have a lot of sympathy for
I have no sympathy for Neil Poynton at all in that situation, man.
Steve, your thoughts on that one?
No, I would agree. I think he's made the gesture. He said what he said, and a little bit of sympathy with the referee, because he's got to take the assistant referee's word on it, and so he's got to act. He's got no option, and I think that was in 2 of the cases. So the referee's got to do what the assistant tells him in that instance.
Guess what's coming next?
I would like to know what the goalkeeper had been saying to the referee during all these instances, because he must have said a hell of a lot.
Same sort of thing seemed to apply in the case of the final sending off, where, you know, we can't hear what was said, but it was obviously this which caused the linesman to react to the referee.
Obviously something was said to the linesman, and he's flagged the referee. The referee doesn't know it. Again, he's got to take action, and this is instructions from the powers that be. And I disagree earlier with Gordon. I don't think the referees have got the ability to make decisions and take things into their own hands. I think they're under so much pressure, the man in the stand, and they've got to take the action that the powers that be are laying down.
Gordon?
Well, I think the referee has got a choice here. I think what he should have done in that situation was said to the linesman, right, I know what you're saying here, pulled over the captain of Hearts, Dave McPherson, and the player concerned and said, look, there's people going to be walking here. I think he should have done it at the pointing order and off, actually, and said, look, there's people going to be in trouble here. This game is going to degenerate into a farce unless you get a grip of your players and you calm down. You give them that one warning together, and if they don't get a grip at that point, you then take the action that he did take. But I think that the game developed into a farce because he took that decision. Now, this happens all the time. Players are always having a go at referees, and the linesman on the touchline gets abuse from dugouts and things. A lot of action could happen all the time. But on this occasion, the referee chose to make those decisions. I don't think at that point he really has to do it. I think he has got a subjective decision to make there.
You mentioned the dugout. It then followed into the dugout, and Chris Robinson, the Hearts chairman, came down to talk to Jim Jeffries.
He shouldn't have been there. That's without question. I think he's going to be in trouble there. I think the Hearts chairman would have been better to stay in the stand. You leave that. That's a team matter. You leave it to the manager on the field to act in his own discretion. And I think that probably the Hearts chairman, Chris Robinson, is going to be in a bit of trouble with SFA. He's got to answer to that, actually.
We're hoping to hear in a short space of time, actually, from Chris Robinson, Gordon. Now, for you, Charlie, to what extent does it reflect a wider problem in Scottish football?
Well, I think Stevie touched on it a little bit. I think eventually we've got to have some way that we can help referees. Either they become professional or at least let them say after a game what was actually taking place. I mean, the fourth sending off there for young Richie. Let them come out and say, listen, this is why I had to make that decision, because at least then we start to know. It broadens the picture for us. Referees need help, there's no doubt about that, and I think anything we can do to help them and make the game better, it's got to be for the right.
Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my pet things really is professional referees. I'm certain it should be professional referees, and I'm certain that they should be a body there, a professional refereeing body to control their own patch. And these guys are on the park. They know what they're doing. They know the problems they're coming up against. But the law's been laid down by people that are not in the park and don't have the practical experience, and that, I believe, is where the problem lies.
Is it good or bad to have such a weight of sendings off in Scotland early season? Before you answer, have a look at this. This is the evidence, and then I'll allow you to make your judgment. So far, in the Premier Division, 10 men off. First Division, 8. The Second Division, 3. And in the Third Division, 10 more. And there is more. UEFA Cup, the 1. Coca-Cola Cup, 12 so far. We're only at the quarter-final stage here, gents. 5 in the Challenge Cup, and that makes a grand total of 49, and we're in the middle of September.
It's certainly not pleasant reading. I mean, Andy Gray said last season whenever he came on the Scottish programme, he couldn't believe the challenges you get away with in Scotland. In England, you would get booked quickly. In Scotland, it's a bit easier. You're not as protected. And here we see all these sending off. So it's worrying for our game. There's no denying that.
Steve, the argument against professional referees being a cure-all is that they're human beings at the end of the day, and they will still make mistakes.
No. I'm not saying that if they're paid £1,000 a week, they're going to become instantly better at their job. But if they're paid a certain wage, and in fact, then you would attract possibly ex-players into the game if the wage was decent. And but what I'm saying is that they can concentrate. Maybe they can have the seminars more than they do have now. Maybe they can concentrate. Maybe they can look at videos. Maybe they can discuss things in more detail and give themselves more of a chance to be together and organise the thing properly. There's a million things I could say about it, but we don't have the time. OK,
let's get on with the football tonight, shall we? Hearts looking for some cup success this midweek to cheer themselves up. They've made a startling contribution to the sendings off list so far this season, and they were bold pre-season as well, trying to change things around. Alan Johnston led the clear-out at Hearts. He joined Rennes on a free transfer. The Swedish striker Hans Eskilsson was released. Scott Leach and Paul Smith moved to Swindon Town and Ayr United, respectively. The long-serving defender Neil Berry was one of 3 players who joined Falkirk. The others, Brian Hamilton and the goalkeeper Craig Nelson, part of a swap deal that took David Weir to Tynecastle. He was joined by Jeremy Goss from Norwich City and Darren Beckford from Oldham. Neil McCann involved Hearts' biggest financial outlay at £300,000 from Dundee, but Hearts were nearly embarrassed in their first outing in the Coca-Cola Cup. They needed penalties to get past Stenhousemuir and opened in the league at home to Kilmarnock. David Weir, or was it McCann, straight from the corner to get the second. Kilmarnock pulled one back through Paul Wright. But the points were made safe by Paul Ritchie.
Chances on for Cameron. And it's there, and it's Ritchie again.
Red Star Belgrade came to Tynecastle in the second leg of the qualifying round of the European Cup Winners' Cup. They drawn 0-0 in Belgrade, and Dave McPherson put Hearts in front in the return. But the Yugoslavs equalised, and Hearts went out on the away goals rule. Aberdeen added to the misery 3 days later. Hearts beaten 4-0. The quality strikes from Joe Miller and Dean Windass. After overcoming St Johnstone in the Coca-Cola Cup, Hearts' next league game was against Dundee United. They beat them by a single goal. Neil McCann earned the penalty. John Robertson converted it. Hearts had a chance to go third in the league table when they met Dunfermline, and they went ahead here through David Weir. But Dunfermline fought back. Andy Todd got the equaliser. And Andy Smith earned Dunfermline their first league victory of the new season. Worse was to follow at Ibrox. Hearts already a goal down when Pascali Bruno was sent off for his second bookable offence. Then Paul Gascoigne took a hand.
Gascoigne, get away from Weir. Gascoigne again, taking all the time in the world to score. Number 2.
David Weir was next to see red, one of 3 off in a crazy 7-minute spell.
This is just madness. Yellow card for Poynton and a red card. Paul Ritchie is in trouble. Something happening off the ball. It is a red card for Ritchie. Well, and now down to 7.
And as if he needed it, Jim Jeffries goes into this one with a real selection headache. Hearts so far then. 9 games played, 3 wins, 3 draws and 3 defeats. They've hit the net 10 times, but they've been conceding plenty, 14 so far. More surely about the events of Saturday now. Back to Tynecastle, and the Hearts chairman, Chris Robinson, is with Davy Provan.
Chris, writing in the match programme tonight, you say that Hearts are now in dialogue with the SFA and the Scottish League over the events of the weekend. Could you clarify that for us?
Yes, well, the outcome of Saturday's game was really quite exceptional, and we've asked the SFA for an inquiry, which we will fully cooperate with. We've looked at the numerous video reports of the game, and we've taken actions against certain players for their involvement in that game. But we do want to cooperate as much as possible with the SFA.
What about your own part in the proceedings? It's very rarely we see a chairman down in the dugout area.
It's very rarely we see 4 people sent off in a football match in Scotland or in anywhere, and it was exceptional circumstances. Football chairmen and boards are often accused of sitting in ivory towers, and we're ultimately responsible. The buck stops with me. I saw on the pitch lots of Hearts players complaining to the referee, the possibility that there could have even been further sendings off, and I was down in that area with the club security officer from Hearts. We were very concerned that at the particular moment when I left the stand that things could have got worse.
Will you be asking the authorities to take some action against the referee and linesman?
Not at all, that's not for us to ask. The SFA will judge that for themselves.
OK, Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's Davy Provan with Chris Robinson, the Hearts chairman there. Charlie, from your point of view, he's talked about actions against certain players. Now, is this a case of the club cleaning up the act after the event?
Yeah, I think.
And is it justified?
Well, I think so. I think he's probably a little bit embarrassed what's happened with his club, what's come out of it in the media. Quite rightly so, has been, you know, he's got to take action against certain players. And I think that's quite rightly so. They must take issue. He's quite right to say that chairman should be involved in certain issues. And I would say trying to rectify the problem would be the main issue he's got to sort out.
Steve, you've been closer to that administrative side of the game, obviously, as a manager until recently. Is a chairman correct to become involved in that technical area on the side of the field?
No, that's the department of the manager, 100%. But you've got to understand Chris Robinson's feelings. He must have been feeling frustrated and worried for his club, and I suppose he felt it was the natural thing for him to do, and he's been sort of forced, and these feelings have forced him down there, but it was not the right place for him to be.
Who do you feel is on trial when the SFA convene this inquiry?
Good question. Well, Chris Robinson, I feel, will be under scrutiny for his actions. It's not allowed. I would say the players, because having watched the television replay, the reaction of some of the players hasn't been correct. It's just the overall situation's on trial. Yeah. We don't want a repeat of it, and I'm sure some of the players will be feeling embarrassed today as well, having looked back on what they've done in the game.
Can you understand from your own playing career that, you know, there are going to be occasions where your frustration and emotion is going to boil over, however well prepared you are?
Of course, there's no denying that. That happens a lot in the game, even times when you're winning. But there comes a stage in your game where you know after a booking now that referees can't gamble because there's a guy in the stand watching them every week. You can't take a gamble with referees anymore. You simply have to cut it out and go on with it and bite your lip on a lot of occasions, because sometimes the referees give you some verbal back as a player and you don't enjoy it, but you can sometimes understand their frustrations too.
It's not the things that were done were very bad. I mean, nobody was brutally fouled, or it was just frustration, pure and simple frustration that was coming through in the players, and they have to learn to control that.
And from the referee's point of view, Steve, are they now being asked to operate in an unfair straitjacket?
I think absolutely right, yeah. I think the referees must be given more leeway. They must be allowed to have dialogue with the players, and so it's the only way to sort it out, because you can say something in a game, the referee would blank in a game even, it makes your frustration even more, and then you end up shouting, then you end up booked, and that's what happens. All
right, playing issues to debate in the next part of the show. When we come back, we'll show you how Celtic's season has gone so far. They're away to Hearts tonight at Tynecastle, and Celtic in desperate need of silverware, 9 times winners, but the last time in 1983.
Supporters of Scottish football.
As the First Division sparks into life, new young talent is emerging.
What a smashing goal!
While old favourites are still shining. Now Ipswich and Charlton aim to show the qualities required to fire themselves into the Premiership. Friday night football this Friday at 7 live on Sky Sports 3. Just part of a great weekend of football on Sky.
Ad men are always on at me to liven up my advertisements for John Smith's Extra Smooth Bitter.
They don't think it's enough to talk about its extra smooth taste.
What we need's a bit of action, Jackie. They just don't get it, do they? Well, I told them straight. No gimmicks, no dancing ladybirds, and definitely no penguins. Just me in a pub with a pint of John Smith's Extra Smooth. Pure silk in a glass. So if this is a bit dull, you can blame me.
Cut it. That was nice, Jack.
So you're going to put the pub back round in afterwards?
Yeah, that's right, Jack. Yeah, we're going to put it in later.
Direct Line, Britain's biggest direct motor and household insurer, also provides mortgages. By offering excellent service at a low cost, they're proving to be very popular indeed. So popular, in fact, that every week, thousands of people are coming to Direct Line for their mortgages from all over Britain. So, if you're moving house or just want a low-rate mortgage for your present home, call 0181 649 9099.
First there was Football Mania, now it's Football Mania Plus. The Daily Mirror's midweek sports mag, free tomorrow. Football plus cricket, Football plus rugby, Football plus boxing, Football plus all the top sport. Football Mania Plus, free tomorrow and every Wednesday, only in the Daily Mirror.
Davis Cup Tennis, featuring a Great Britain side including Tim Henman. Starts Friday at 11 a.m, live on Sky Sports 3.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Thursday, 8 p.m. on Sky Sports 1. Live from Manchester, boxing Peter Judson against Dean Phillips for the IBF Intercontinental Super Featherweight title. Now on Sky Sports 1 from Tynecastle, the Scottish Coca-Cola Cup 4th round, Hearts against Celtic. Head-to-head between these two clubs, very, very interesting down the years. They've met plenty of times. 16 times in total. Hearts have only won 4 of them, so 11 in total, and just the 1 draw. And at Tynecastle, total of 7 meetings. Hearts have won 3 and Celtic 4. Celtic have also had a great record against Hearts in recent seasons in league football. Celtic have been scoring plenty of goals. In fact, they're top scorers in Scotland so far early season, all bar 4 of Celtic's entire goal haul from the Foreign Legion. Former strikers Steve Archibald and Charlie Nicholas to pass judgment on the Celtic Foreign Legion in just a few minutes' time. But here's the Celtic story so far this season. Celtic are being heavily backed this season to become the dominant force again in Scotland. 40,000 season ticket holders are convinced about that. They've signed big and ambitiously. Alan Stubbs signing from Bolton for £3.5 million. And Paolo Di Canio, the Italian international, swapping Milan for the East End of Glasgow for £1 million. The most significant departure, John Collins. He took advantage of the Bosman ruling to join Monaco. Day 1 took Celtic to Aberdeen, and last season's top scorer got away to a flyer.
And he hits it well! Oh, magnificent goal!
Then the debut boy, Alan Stubbs, sent off for a professional foul. Aberdeen scored from the penalty and went ahead moments later.
And the chance is on for Shearer, and Aberdeen take the lead.
Only an injury-time goal by Andy Tom salvaged a point. 4 days later, Tom was on target again as Celtic knocked Clyde out of the Coca-Cola Cup. A prelude to a fine Celtic performance. Tom's thunderbolt, the pick of the bunch in a 4-1 defeat of Wraith Rovers. Then George Cadet ensured progress to the first round of the UEFA Cup with the only goal against Kozice. Celtic beat Kilmarnock only once last season, and when Gordon Marshall gifted them a goal, it looked like that poor run could be extended. But the introduction of Paolo Di Canio in his league debut brought instant results. Tom got a second before Cadet killed the jinx in the final minute. Celtic then scored 10 in 2 games. 5 against Alloa in the Coca-Cola Cup, followed by the same again against Hibs in the league. Cadet taking his total to 9 for the season. Brian O'Neill weighing in with his first. And Pierre Van Hooijdonk making quality count again for the 5th. But last midweek, Hamburg came to Celtic Park and won, a bitter blow to the club's UEFA Cup aspirations. In the league, though, they are still on Rangers' tail, Van Hooijdonk scoring on the stroke of half-time at Tannadice. After Brian O'Neill had been sent off, United levelled through Gary McSwiggan, but Celtic weren't finished.
Delivers across, it's Cadet! And Celtic tie up the
battling to the end has become a Celtic trademark under Tommy Burns. It's a quality that could serve them well in this season of all seasons in Scotland. So Celtic so far in the new season. 10 matches played, 7 wins, a couple of draws, and just the 1 defeat against Hamburg, and they have certainly been rattling in the goals. 25 so far, and they've conceded just 9. The Celtic boss, Tommy Burns, talking to Davy Provan now.
Tommy, Brian O'Neill, Alan Stubbs and Tosh McKinley all out tonight. Have you done a bit of reshaping work there at the back?
Yeah, what we've done, Davey, is we've just basically put Tom Boyd back in as a spare player and put young Stuart Gray wide on the left-hand side.
Tosh McKinley, we understood, had keyhole surgery on his knee yesterday. How quickly do you think he'll be back?
Well, I think in modern day terms, Davey, it's a lot quicker than what it used to be. It used to be it would take about 2 or 3 months for a cartilage operation. In Tosh's case, it was just getting a small piece of cartilage removed. So we'll hopefully have him back within 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
What about this game tonight? Is this a kind of one-off occasion that you look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I think about, coming to Hearts Football Club and to Tynecastle in particular, there's always a real passion here. And that's the type of games you want to be involved in. A lot of fire and brimstone, but a lot of passion and a lot of good football as well, and really exciting for the supporters.
You haven't lost a domestic competitive game this season, but would it be fair to say that we've still to see the best of this Celtic side?
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be honest, David, with injuries we've had, both to the midfield area and also to the back area, we've never really had the right shape in our team. Basically, we've moved, trying to get as many good players into our team as possible. Sometimes we've played maybe 4 out of 5 out-and-out forward players. So the shape isn't always where it should be. But in saying that, you've got to go with the players you've got.
I have to ask you about reports this morning that the players are unhappy with the bonus structure at the club. What can you tell us about that?
Well, what I can tell you is, David, that I've been to the bank today to make a massive withdrawal to try and help them along the way. I know they're struggling for money, and I don't want to see them down and out. But no, these are internal things, David, that happen with clubs, just to basically get the bonus structure sorted out. And there's no war or anything like that. Sometimes there's arms and legs put on it and all these different things, but it's nothing that we can't work out.
OK, Tommy, thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, David.
Seems to have a handle on that situation. Nonetheless, it's a pretty embarrassing record for a club of Celtic stature,
yes,
Charlie, that they have not won this since 1983.
Well, that's right. They feel particularly disappointed in this competition. They had good history in the Scottish Cup the last 13 years, as you say. It's a long time for Celtic not to have won this trophy, but they maybe just be lucky 13 for them.
Tommy Burns has mentioned Celtic's good run at the start of this season, but it goes back further than there. In all domestic football in Scotland, Celtic have lost, just 3 out of 54.
Yeah.
Now, that speaks of winning championships and cups, but it hasn't happened yet. No. Why not?
Well, mainly because Rangers have always come up with the results at the right time, especially in the cup competitions. They beat Celtic twice last season in the cup competitions to end their run. But Celtic, 36 domestic games have gone without losing anything, and you would have to say anywhere else that is success. It's made, but it's just not to be so far, so they just must keep progressing the way they're going.
Back to Tynecastle, Gordon Smith. How much have you witnessed Celtic's rise and thought now, Gordon, that they're ready to actually close the gap and compete on level terms, or is there still more to do for Celtic?
I think they're ready to have a go now. I mean, they're playing very well. I mean, last season, I think they were playing probably even better than they have started this year. I think they've had 1 or 2 problems at the back. They've lost good midfield players. McStay has been out injured. O'Donnell's been out injured, and they lost Collins, of course, to Monaco. And I think that's made a big difference, even although they brought in a player like Di Canio up front and midfield, I should say, and Cadet up front. It hasn't really strengthened them that much in that midfield area where they have toiled a little bit, and I think that they've had problems at the back as well. So although they're still got this unbeaten run and they're still scoring goals, the big problem will come, and we'll see really the test of them, I suppose, when they play Rangers a week on Saturday.
Thanks, Gordon. Steve, for you, is the shape of the Celtic side right?
No, just right. I think, as Gordon touched on there, they've got defensive frailties and also the injuries to midfield area. The shape is not right, but as Tommy Burns said also, you can only do what you can do. You can only work with the players you've got, and that's what he's doing. He's trying to get the best out of what he's got, and that's good management.
How important is their team spirit in grinding out the results? We've seen it a couple of times late on. They've squeezed out a result already this season.
Yeah, absolutely vital. Team spirit's a funny thing, when things are going well, it's great team spirit. When things aren't going so well, that's really the test of team spirit. Right now, Celtic are going well, and so there's good team spirit. The problem will come if they go through a patch where it's not going so well, and that's when you'll have you'll see the real test of what team spirit is.
Does the existence of the Foreign Legion as such a well-established group of players, Charlie, mean that Celtic have an edge now that they've never had before?
I would say so. I would agree in terms of the midfield and the defence is lacking maybe just something, but in saying that, the 4 forwards that they have And I would have to say, especially Andy Tom and Cadet, the two of them have been absolutely outstanding so far this season. And with the flair of Di Canio and Van Hooijdonk, who must be said is working harder than he did last season, maybe not got as many goals so far, but playing well. The four of them have been outstanding at times.
So
very exciting.
The buys have worked.
Tommy Burns has not had one bad buy yet, and it's very unusual for a manager at high pressure level that's been a fact, but true to say so far.
George Cadet, who's been in such outstanding form for Celtic early season, 9 so far from him. He's likely to lead the Celtic charge for honours in this season. Coca-Cola Cup quarter-final. Team news next.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
The Solheim Cup is special. We're flying it home and we can win it back.
Laura Davis and her European teammates individually beat the world this year. But together, can they follow the 95 Ryder Cup victory and regain the trophy held by the Americans?
They'll be pumped up, but we've got millions willing us on.
In association with Ping Golf Equipment, starting Friday 9 a.m. live on Sky Sports 1.
Here, thank goodness I came. Norm's the name, sensible's the game. Oh, what a skimpy garment. It's just a pair of underpants upside down. This is you, polyester, double stitching and boiling the bag. Grey will never go out of fashion because it's never been in fashion. Listen to me, it's Norm. That's not a skirt, that's a belt. Wear orange and everyone will look at you.
Oh. Twix, a break from the norm.
Mary here lives in Luton and she's ringing her mum in Leeds.
Excuse me, what are you doing in my bedroom?
I work for Hoskins. Sorry, I just wanted to say that a 5-minute chat with your mum used to cost you 30p, but from October the 8th, with BT's weekday evening rate cut by 20%, it's just 24p.
It's him, that David Bellamy.
And if you're on BT's Friends and Family and Premier line, it could go down to 18p. Phone 0800 003 800 to see what you could save. Do you like football?
Wren Giftware was a classic example. They had people queuing up to buy their product.
But we couldn't supply the product. It was a very frustrating time. We had a vast quantity of orders.
They couldn't get their hands on sufficient working capital.
Working capital was tied up in outstanding invoices.
And we solved that by going to sales-linked financing. When the goods leave the factory, we raise the invoice.
And we get up to 85% of that invoice within 24 hours.
And the balance when the customer actually pays you.
Tailored finance for growth from Alex Laurie. Call 0800 55 0022.
I suppose the team lost again yesterday, did they?
Oh, no!
Chocolate ice cream on your brand new shirt.
Outstanding.
Recently, the people at Zanussi have become even more excited about cleaning, if that's possible. During tests on their new Jet System RSI, which jet sprays water to the heart of the washing for Zanussi's cheapest, cleanest wash, they've found one detergent is giving them quite outstanding results.
Outstanding.
In fact, they're even taking their work home with them. Ariel, Zanussi recommended for outstanding results.
What is that?
Is that a bird?
Is it a plane? No, just a guy in a pair of tights and a cape.
They're now on Sky One.
You are a strange one, Clark Kent.
With action, adventure,
It's a ball.
and one of the greatest romances of all time.
Don't fall for me, Farmboy. I don't have time for it.
Starting with the original pilot episode, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, weeknights at 6, starting Monday, only on Sky One.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
3 days of live Davis Cup tennis on Sky Sports 3 starting on Friday. Tim Henman leading Great Britain against Egypt. It's a farewell to Wimbledon's famous #1 court this weekend. I'm here now on Sky Sports 1, Cup football from Scotland, Hearts against Celtic. We're at Tynecastle, and it's really taken shape over the last couple of years as a very attractive place to watch football. The Hearts faithful looking for better from their side. Celtic, of course, bring big support wherever they go as well. But Hearts with a good home record this season so far. The betting tonight is like this. Hearts 5-2, Celtic 7-2 on. They must have been watching at the weekend, those bookmakers. Back to Tynecastle and Davy Provan with the team news.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, both managers forced into making changes tonight after what was a crazy weekend up here in the Premier Division. Brian O'Neill sent off at Tannadice in the Celtic-Dundee United game. He misses out, but of course Hearts were suffering even more damage at Ibrox And all 4 of the defenders who were red-carded in that match miss out as well. And that's the last thing that Jim Jeffries needed, given that defenders Craig Levein and Gary Locke were already out in the long term. So this is the Hearts side tonight. And there was some good news for them this afternoon, because just a few hours ago, Jim Jeffries completed the signing of Andy Thorne from Wimbledon. And he goes straight into the side tonight beside defensive partners Dave McPherson and Alan McManus. A big night too for young Gary Naismith, just one previous appearance in the first team. That was at the end of last season, but the 17-year-old starts in that left-sided midfield role. And on the opposite side of midfield, Stefano Salvatore makes his 3rd appearance for Jim Jeffries since signing from Atalanta in Serie A. Up front, Kevin Thomas and Neil McCann will be asked to support John Robertson. On to Celtic. And with Alan Stubbs and now Tosh McKinlay injured, along with Brian O'Neill's suspension, Tommy Burns has had a bit of reshaping to do. And that means a recall for Stuart Gray, who comes in on the left side of a central 3 of Tommy Boyd, John Hughes and Malky Mackay, whose last-minute strike gave Celtic the 3 points on Saturday. Peter Grant and Andy Tom in the central midfield roles. And further forward, George Cadet leads the line alongside Pierre Van Hooijdonk and Paolo Di Canio. Back to you, Paul.
That's taken 1 or 2 of us by surprise. We didn't get much of an inkling, certainly in London, over the last day or so, that Hearts were going to get the chequebook out, Steve, to bring in Andy Thorne. What do you make of that signing?
No, well, it's something. Jim's had to do something, and he's done it. It's maybe something he's been pressured into before the time, but it's something he's just had to do.
Charlie, for you?
Yeah, I think it's a clever move, actually. You know, he's really been bringing in youngsters, Naismith, who's coming in from nowhere tonight, but somebody with a bit of experience going to help him. It'll be interesting to see how he's going to adapt to our game.
Now, one of the men who survived the unfortunate affairs at Ibrox, although, as Steve pointed out, he seemed to be involved in nearly everything, was Gilles Rouchet, the Hearts keeper.
Yeah.
How has he impressed you this season so far?
Well, last year and this year, he's a quality keeper, and I think he's done an awful lot to stabilise Hearts. His influence is there. He's a big presence and looks the part, which is important for a goalkeeper, and he also plays the part. I think he's
good technique.
Yeah, I think he's a good goalkeeper for Hearts.
Charlie, we witnessed him in one of his most unfortunate incidents, didn't we, in the cup final at the end of last season? Yeah. That may have got in the way of what otherwise was a fine effort by him.
Oh, no, he had an excellent season last season, and he made the one mistake in the cup final. Everybody knows about it. But after that, he responded well in that game too. He had 2 or 3 marvellous saves. And he's a big hit at Hearts. He's a really good goalkeeper.
This is a record so far at Hearts. The 3 bookings and no sendings off. And
yeah, well, not surprised he's booked after seeing him on Saturday.
But he's one of these keepers. He appears to be the sort who's quite happy to show his commitment outside of the confines of the penalty box.
Yes, I think he's obviously a passionate goalkeeper. He likes to show his feelings, but good reaction goalkeeper. You know, and I think Hearts had seemed to have this problem with goalkeepers for the last two or three years, and they've never really settled with any goalkeeper. He's made the position his own.
And from outside the area, he's obviously very proficient all round. This is the incident, I think, Charlie, that we were talking about in the cup.
This was a torture for him, which is never pleasant ever to see, I don't think. But as I say, that was the only one mistake he made in that cup final. Sure, it cost his team, but, you know, he's a very good goalkeeper.
Steve, what about this young man, Neil McCann?
Yeah, excellent year last year, and seems to be a good buy. Very quick feet, gets good crosses in, takes men on, does all the things you like to see in the game. Good for the fans to see, yeah.
Will he have to take on more responsibility tonight, do you feel, with some of these experienced players out suspended?
Yeah, I would suggest that Jim Jeffries would be saying that to him, and it's time for him to, on this occasion, to stand up and sort of lead the way. He's definitely got the skill and the qualities, as you can see there. Good pace, and he's got all the attributes.
What's his best position for you?
Well, he plays wide, and he's a good pace, runs at people, and I'd say he's in the wide area left. Yeah.
Has he got more in the longer term, Charlie, the possibility of maybe coming inside?
I would like to think so. I would like to think he can progress. I mean, watch him here. He's determined to get inside because he favours his left side. But he is quick, but he's very, very positive. And when he's on his game, he's exciting.
Mr. Excitement at the present time for Celtic is this man, George Cadet, the key man here for Celtic tonight, simply by virtue of his outstanding goal-scoring record. 5 in 6 starts last season after opening against Aberdeen, if memory serves.
Yeah, the keeper. This guy is a class act, absolute class. He is playing in the shoulder of defenders every time Celtic have a ball to play square. Here you see him.
This is the goal, actually, isn't it?
This is absolute composure at its best.
One heard afterwards that that single moment made him a hero for Celtic fans. Is it that simple if you're a Celtic goal scorer, Charlie?
Well, it can be that way. I think especially if you come from abroad, Celtic supporters really take you under their wing and will show you tremendous gratitude. But this guy looks as if he's capable of scoring 30 odd goals this season. That's how good he's going to be.
Steve, you did that a few times in England and Scotland. How highly do you rate him?
Yeah, very highly. He's definitely a natural, and I think fans can sniff a natural. And when they sniff that thing there, they want to keep it there, and that's why they take him to their hearts. And he deserves it. As Charlie says, he plays in the shoulder of defenders. He makes the right runs. His composure's terrific. Quality buy, no doubt.
One of the newer heroes now, Paolo Di Canio. Yeah. Nice haircut.
Yeah.
A real character by all accounts. I watched him on Saturday at Tannadice and he was taking a corner with a Celtic hat on. And it was nice touch. Yeah, I like touches like that. You can tell a character. Real passion, obviously, being Italian. The tighter the situation for this guy, the more he'll show skill. And I think the Celtic fans just love to see this guy getting in the ball. A real attraction.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and I think that Di Canio, as Charlie said, magnificent skill in tight areas. But terrific cross, cut back from line. But I've seen him in a lot of situations where he's maybe overdone his skill, where he's got to cross it, and I'm sure the striker's made his run, he's not crossed it, striker's come out again, moved again, he's got to cross again, not crossed it, striker's gone again. And this is something I think that they can get more out of Di Canio.
Steve, in terms of his reputation, how much did he have to prove when he arrived at Celtic?
Well, it came with a big reputation, right? And it's what he's doing, he's proving it, he's scoring goals, he's showing his skill, and I think he doesn't have anything else to prove. He's shown his commitment to the club. His passion's there. I think it's no more to prove for me.
Whichever league we're talking about, there is always the issue, and many of the Premier League clubs in England are finding it right now, Charlie, that foreign players are going to be looked at very critically. They've got to prove that they want to play for the team. Yeah. Do you feel that the foreign players at Celtic are proving that they want to bring Celtic to
I've got to be honest about the Celtic foreigners so far. They have all worked their socks off. As soon as they lose the ball, they've got a certain passion about them, and I believe this is from Tommy Burns himself. They really work hard for the team. There's no out-and-out superstar here, you know, and I think Di Canio even works quite hard, but Cadet and Tom and that in particular have been working their socks off for the rest of the team, and I think they all appreciate that.
I would say that any top quality player in the world, it doesn't happen by magic, it happens with hard work. Top quality players work their backsides off.
Who's going to be first to score tonight? These are the bookmakers' views on that. Cadet, surprise, surprise, a 4-1 favourite along with Van Hooijdonk. And Andy Tom at 8-1. John Robertson of Hearts at 9-1. And Kevin Thomas also 9-1. Cameron 11-1, Di Canio 12-1, McCann that we featured a moment ago 20-1, Malky Mackay who got the, Gary Mackay of Hearts, excuse me, 33-1, Tommy Boyd at 50-1, and they don't think Malky Mackay can do it 2 in 2 games, obviously.
He'd be a good bet.
How do you see it going tonight, Charlie?
I think Celtic, by their sheer presence of forwards, I think Celtic have got too much strength going forward. I would expect Celtic to win this game tonight.
Steve, for you?
Yeah, it must be Celtic. As Charlie said, the strength of the foreigners must count tonight. They must make it count. I'm sure they will.
All right, we're almost ready to go at Tynecastle. The crowd is in, and they're looking a little pensive, one or two of them, and why not? It's been a very trying week if you're a Hearts supporter, but they're looking for better tonight, back on cup duty after their problems at Ibrox in the league at the weekend. It's the other half of the Old Firm, Hearts against Celtic, in just a few moments.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Why a new slices selection, said Mr. Kipling. Well, I knew everyone has their favourites. He does make exceedingly good cakes. Here, thank goodness I came. Norm's the name, sensible's the game. Oh, what a skimpy garment. It's just a pair of underpants upside down. This is you, polyester, double stitching, and boiling the bag. Grey will never go out of fashion because it's never been in fashion. Listen to me, it's Norm. That's not a skirt, that's a belt. Wear orange and everyone will look at you. Oh.
Twix, a break from the norm.
Mary here lives in Luton, and she's ringing her mum in Leeds.
Excuse me, what are you doing in my bedroom?
I work for Hoskins. Sorry, I just wanted to say that a 5-minute chat with your mum used to cost you 30p, but from October the 8th, with BT's weekday evening rate cut by 20%, it's just 24p.
It's him. Oh, is that David Bellamy?
And if you're on BT's Friends and Family and Premier line, it could go down to 18p. Phone 0800 003 800 to see what you could save. Do you like football?
A PEP is one of the Chancellor's most generous tax gifts. Yet only 1 in 20 taxpayers are taking advantage of the tax-free returns a PEP can generate. We think it's odd when, for just £50 a month, you could buy a Virgin Growth PEP. For an information pack, call 0345 959595.
Sky Sports in October, and we cover the globe to bring you the very best in live sport. It's a month packed with fantastic football action. In the Premiership, Manchester United's games with Liverpool and Newcastle are just two of the highlights, and there's World Cup action as England face Poland. We've International Rugby League with Great Britain's tour of New Zealand. Wigan star Andy Farrell leads the Lions as their youngest ever captain. October's British Ice Hockey features the B&H Cup and the Super League. There's top action from the airborne athletes of British basketball with the new season in full swing. And from America, there's gridiron action with the giants of the NFL and also Major League Baseball's World Series. There's all the razzmatazz and excitement of the WDC World Team Darts Championship, and we've golf's Alfred Dunhill Cup. Robbie Regan defends his world title in big-time boxing. Just some of the highlights for October on Sky Sports.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
In rugby union, big West Country derby live on Sky Sports 2 Saturday at 2 p.m. in the Courage League, Gloucester against Bath. Hearts against Celtic coming up in just a few moments' time at Tynecastle, now on Sky Sports 1 in the 4th round of the Scottish Coca-Cola Cup. And a place in the semi-finals at stake. Celtic, who haven't won this cup since 1983. It's already well established by Charlie Nicholas and Steve Archibald, my guests tonight, that this is not a record that Celtic should be proud of. On the base of the teams tonight, how are Celtic setting out to play this game, Charlie?
Yeah, well, I think they're going with the three at the back with Tom Boyd spare, which they played on Saturday at Tannadice. And to be fair to him, I thought they played well until Brian O'Neill was unfortunately sent off, it must be said. But as we said, the Foreign Legion, the four, are really dangerous. Whenever they get the ball, they are capable of making chances any time they get it. So they're the real threat for Hearts tonight.
Steve, from the Hearts' point of view, how on earth are they going to make light of the fact that they've got 4 first-choice defenders suspended?
Well, Jim, I'm sure, will work in mostly motivation. He's always... I've got a lot of respect for Jim Jeffries and Billy Brown. They're very well organised, and the players that will come in will know exactly what they've got to do. He'll also be working a lot in individual motivation, and I think they'll give Celtic a hard game, but I think overall the Celtic's experience and the foreigners especially will win the day.
Will it be a case of, from the Hearts' point of view, containment in the first place?
Yeah, well, I think that when you're playing the Old Firm, if you can hold them for the first 20 minutes always, then you think you've got half a chance, and I think that's a crucial part in the game, first 20 minutes.
But for you overall, Steve?
Yeah, it must be Celtic. Must be.
All right, let's get to Tynecastle and join our commentary team for the evening. We've already heard from Gordon Smith, but it's a good evening now to Martin Tyler.
Paul, if the match is as exciting as events here at Tynecastle this afternoon, we're in for a real treat. The Andy Thorne episode, the player rushed up from the London area, signed just in the nick of time. And I've just come up to the commentary position, and there are so many fans stopping me on the way saying, who is this number 6? Well, Gordon Smith, you know a bit about him, Andy Thorne.
Yeah, I remember playing against him when he was at Wimbledon, and he's a decent player. And I'm certain Jim Jeffries will be delighted to have that sort of experience in his side, considering he's got 4 players missing. He's also got Craig Levine, who was club captain here out long term, so he really does need some help at the back, especially considering that that's where Celtic's strength is. So Thornton has got a major part to play. I don't know when he last played, but he's certainly been thrown in now at the deep end in what would be a real pressure match.
His last start in the English Premier League was back in November of last year, but he's played some pre-season games, and now he's going to sample the special atmosphere of Scottish football, maybe just for a short period, because I understand there are English clubs interested in the services of Andy Thorne. There has to be a definite outcome tonight, remember, even if it goes to penalties to decide which side goes through to the semi-finals. I must say there's a crispness to this competition which gives it real prominence over the first part of the season in Scotland, the final in November, and so no entanglement with the Scottish Cup, which of course begins for the big clubs in January. Hearts certainly out to make headlines of a different kind tonight. The Edinburgh club still trying to come to terms with the extraordinary events at Ibrox, the like of which, Gordon, I don't think you and I have ever seen before.
No, not at the top level I haven't. But the thing about it is, it wasn't so much Saturday they were penalised for, it really is tonight. I mean, they're without 4 key players for a match against Celtic, who have got probably the best attacking team in Scotland at the moment. They are scoring the most goals, so if ever you wanted to have your full squad available, it was for a match like this.
Yes, you would sense that they are grateful now for the chance to turn their minds in a different direction and concentrate on a major cup tie and get away from the recriminations, or at least the analysis of what went wrong at Ibrox. Well, it's virtually a full house in the stadium, a capacity here of just over 16,000. They are going to develop that particular end of the ground, which might stop that family up there watching well from the window and having this view in years to come. But there's no doubt that the acoustics of this stadium are excellent, and if it's volume you're looking for in terms of support, you're going to get it here tonight. Hearts have won both their home games so far in the Premier Division. Of course, their playing resources severely stretched, though in the circumstances you have to say Jim Jeffries has done a terrific job to put out a relatively experienced side. Just talking about players' behaviour, Gordon, and I think the profile of the game has never been higher. Behaviour under scrutiny, and that's rightly so. I don't think anyone should forget that there are emotional extremes around this game, the essence of it, and a certain amount of understanding required as well.
Well, I think you've got to have passion to be involved in the game, whether you're a supporter or you're out there on the field, and if you don't have that, then there's something wrong with you. And as you mentioned, Mark, it's actual pressure fought in the professional game now. The profile is very high, television, radio, newspapers want to cover every aspect of the game, so that it is going to be highlighted if there's any trouble. There's probably been stuff like that happened in the past, but just not the same information given out to the supporters.
Well, one major defender has survived the suspensions, Dave McPherson. I'll be very pleased to have him to lead out the team and to marshal things at the back. Dave McPherson, who has got a fantastic record in this competition in his time with Rangers. Gary Mackay, another well-known face in these parts. Andy Thorne just going through the camera then. Delighted to be part of a major football match again. Well, Hearts out well ahead of the opposition. They'll be happy if that's the position on the scoreline tonight, but it would be a major, major upset. I think it's fair to say that the Hearts players are probably under less pressure than they may ever have been in recent times in a home game. Everyone sees Celtic very much as the favourites, holding the major cards. Not so many team problems for Tommy Burns, although he's got 1 or 2. John Robertson, 248 goals for the Edinburgh club. Wonderful record. Peter Grant Celtic ready now. Just over a couple of thousand Celtic fans at Tynecastle tonight. Really expecting to see their side go through to the semi-final. Well, let's give you the last check on the team lists. And out of the chaos of suspensions plus injuries to two other major figures at the club, Craig Levein and Gary Locke, Jim Jeffries has pieced together this side. Andy Thorne rushed up from his Surrey home for what may be his only game for Hearts. It's also a first start for number 3, 17-year-old Gary Naismith. Alan McManus and Kevin Thomas also drafted in. Well, Celtic have a player of their own playing for a sending off on Saturday. Brian O'Neill is banned tonight. And the former Hearts defender Tosh McKinley has joined Alan Stubbs, Paul McStay and Phil O'Donnell on the casualty list. So Tom Boyd switches back into a three-man central defence. And down the left, there's another chance for Stuart Gray. Well, how are Hearts going to cope with the height of Pierre van Hooijdonk? 32 goals last season and already off the mark and amongst the leading scorers this season. But the Celtic leading scorer is the player born in Mozambique, Portuguese international, of course, Jorge Cadeta. 5 in 2 games in the Coca-Cola Cup. The Celtic huddle. For all concerned, it would be nice to mention the referee only in passing tonight. I'm sure that applies very much to the man himself, Kenny Clark from Paisley. So Celtic to kick off. They've won this League Cup only 9 times compared to 19 for Rangers, and not at all since 1982. Early touch for Stuart Gray on a pitch that's maybe a little longer in terms of grass than the players would actually prefer. Paolo Di Canio. And Gray trying to work something down the Celtic left. Hearts, I'm sure, pumped up by the circumstances that has brought this football club so much publicity over the weekend. Pressure from Thomas of an unfair kind. Here's Boyd. Celtic certainly have their greatest strengths in attack. Tommy Burns perhaps a little bit concerned about getting the right defensive balance, particularly in midfield, where Peter Grant at times might look a solitary figure. Here's Gray. Tom Boyd's made a run forward. One interesting area of the game might be the two Italians, Salvatore for Hearts and Di Canio, two quite close to each other there.
I think they'll actually know each other as well, Martin. I think they're both at AC Milan at the same time, and they were certainly having a good chat before the game, and now they're coming into direct confrontation with each other.
Salvatore played in a good few cup battles last season. His Italian club, Atalanta, got to the final, beaten by Fiorentina. A season in which Di Canio was winning a championship medal in Serie A with Milan. Come from good stock. There is Salvatore. Camera. Robertson is such a crafty customer. Trying to give Celtic an early problem here. He's earned a corner off Boyd.
Yeah, good turn in the box here. Robertson is very, very sharp in those sort of situations. He won't do a lot of running into wide areas, but as soon as the ball goes in the box, he can twist and turn. Very willing to get a shot in from tight angles too.
First test for Gordon Marshall. He's come through it well and thrown the ball out to good purpose. Need two to make that happen, and Andreas Tom was very aware, and he's fouled. By Mackay. Well, the free kick taken too quickly for the referee's liking. It's given Celtic an opportunity to send up Malky Mackay, who got their winning goal late on at Tannadice on Saturday. It's in towards him.
I find that strange decision, Martin. Why have Pierre Van Hooijdonk taking free kicks in the left-back position? He's one of the best players in the air in Scottish football, and his height would cause all sorts of problems in the Hearts, against the Hearts defence.
This is great. Carnio taking over. Corner to Celtic. McManus makes his way to his marking job in the middle. This is where you feel that Hearts trying to patch it up at the back might get caught out. Celtic can exploit good balls into the penalty area. Really is a major reshuffle caused by extraordinary circumstances. Neil Mackay. Thomas, one of three in the middle. Cameron and Robertson there as well. Corner to Hearts. Fast and furious, and no surprise at that.
That's going to be a good confrontation tonight as well between McCann and McNamara. Both very pacey. McNamara will like to get forward as well, and McCann may need to check back a few times just to stop him.
Andy Thorne has come up, trying to get free. But, aerial power of Van Hooijdonk, useful in a defensive situation. So to be taken by the 17-year-old, Gary Naismith. Played once as a substitute before, certainly the biggest game in his short career. Having to do his work deep again. The ball stayed in play. Grant tries to switch it to the left, but he's threaded it through to Tom, and then Van Hooijdonk hoisting it to where the cover was there in the shape of McManus. Celtic in the Premier Division, this wonderful 36-game unbeaten run, which includes 4 victories last season over tonight's opponents. Pretty emphatic ones as well. Mentioned Celtic back at a real push for this trophy for 14 years. You have to go back to 1962 to find the last time the Hearts had their hands on the League Cup. Actually, they had a good period, mid-50s to the early 60s, 5 finals in 9 seasons. 4 of those finals were won. It seemed a long time ago to many in this ground, though, tonight. Great. Good advantage played. Was a foul by Robertson. He's apologising to Stuart Gray for it. Gray wasn't discomforted. Grant.
I think Celtic have started quite quietly here. I really thought they would have had a go at Hearts early on with a makeshift defence. People not used to playing with each other. A new player, Andy Thorne, just coming in there. And Van Hooijdonk's playing much deeper. Cadeti is playing a lone role himself up front through the middle at the moment. Van Hooijdonk playing almost like a midfield role. That surprises me greatly.
Headed forward by John Hughes, who owes a great deal of his career to the Hearts manager, Jim Jeffries, starting back at Berwick Rangers, humble beginnings. both men have gone on to better things. It's good play between Robertson, who now almost has the chance. Cameron trying to get there as well. It was McCann who crossed it from the left-hand side. Great. Canio, who does have license to move from one flank to the other, so far very much on the left. He's produced a couple of corners. Push and shove there between McPherson and Van Hooijdonk. There's been no chance for Hearts to really work on the defending involving Andy Thorne. He only arrived at the ground about 4:30. Thomas chasing. Harrow, who promised a great deal and still has potential to be fulfilled, but has been set back by an injury. He's up against experienced players like Tom Boyd, of course.
Good ball there. The thing about it is that Boyd has got tremendous pace. That's why Celtic are playing him there as a spare player. A little bit afraid of Hearts' pace up front.
Another Hearts corner. There's no doubt that the sense of drama heightened in a competition like this by the fact there can be no draw. We're dealing with winners and losers tonight. Van Hooijdonk. Salvatore! Wasn't far away.
That's a good strike. Just looking the edge of the box there. Drilled it hard and low. I think it took a little bit of deflection, maybe off one of their Hearts players, but very unlucky. Decided just to have a pop from that sort of distance, and it keeps it down well here. It's not an easy one to hit. Just past.
Van Hooijdonk. Certainly no shortage of top stories in Scotland, apart from Hearts seeing so much red at Rangers, managers being chopped and changed, just as in England. Although Tommy Burns continues to bring dignity and decorum to his particular position. And of course, there's been the arrival of Messrs Wilkins and Waddle in recent times as well, coming north to extend their playing careers. Tempting Gordon Smith to put the boots back on.
I think I might, there's Steve Archibald and Charlie Nicholas in the studio as well. I think both younger than Ray Wilkins. They might be tempted too.
I must say Jim Jeffries somehow managed to keep his cool on the bench at Ibrox, with his players disappearing past him one way in regular intervals, his chairman appearing from the opposite direction. Must have been a bit of a shock. But that's in the past. We're dealing very much with the present here. Hearts trying to turn the Coca-Cola Cup quarter-final into one of their finest hours. It certainly would be if they could knock out Celtic tonight. Cameron. McCann, who's got a lot of trickery in possession, but his first touch was on the clumsy side then. Here's Canio trying his luck on the right. Sort of tackle that will make Andy Thorne iron out a few wrinkles.
I think he's pulled up here just for using the arms initially on the Canio, not for the challenge on the ground, which was very clean.
That's good play from McNamara. Van Hooijdonk, difficult angle, but he very nearly made something of it. Wasn't really the percentage decision then, but he went for goal and Rousset turned it over.
Yeah, he did well. I thought he may have attacked the ball at the back post. Decided just to set off it. Looked as if there was a cutback coming and almost took the keeper by surprise.
Just working back on McNamara. Sort of industry that Hearts need in abundance, you feel, tonight. Tom. Hughes. Tom having to nip in quickly. And Hoydon. And it's too long for Paolo Di Canio.
Looks like the big Pierre Van Hooydonk wants to be the playmaker tonight. Tommy Burns has certainly pulled him into a much deeper position than I expected to see him. He's a good front man, he's good in the air, a big physical presence up front. But tonight he's playing just behind the strikers and definitely in the midfield alongside Peter Grant. They're trying to get Di Canio forward to help Cadet, but it's not the typical Celtic type performance.
Well, we mentioned earlier that Peter Grant had perhaps looked an isolated figure in the centre of midfield in recent games. And Tommy Burns asking others to help out, including the Dutchman and the German Tom. McNamara. Oh, a real breakdown in communications there with Di Canio.
I think Andy Thorne will be delighted so far with the game, Martin, because he's not really been put under an awful lot of pressure. He's been given a good amount of time to try and suss things out at the back, who he's playing alongside, who's going to give problems. He can see the game in front of himself. Very experienced player, and I'm sure that his manager, Jim Jeffries, will also be happy with his contribution so far.
Well, the type of tussle that you expect Peter Grant to be involved in. But it's a free kick against him. Cameron, the player who was fouled. Free kick to Hearts. Nice quarter of an hour gone. Naismith. Should be the goalkeepers. McPherson was hoping for it to come a little bit deeper. Thorne plays safe. I think it's great credit to Andy Thorne that he accepted the invitation to come and play here, particularly if a contract in England with another club is on his particular table. Great. Can't quite keep it in. Stuart Gray, whose cousin Andy of Leeds United reached the final of England's Coca-Cola Cup last season.
Little shades of his father Eddie there as he took that ball totally on his left side at all times, but it's a good left foot and he turns well. He likes to get into those deep positions where he can get the crosses in.
So it's definitely the next generation of the Gray family now, isn't it? After Frank and Eddie, Andy and Stuart.
Not a bad pedigree to have, Martin, is it?
Not at all. Boyd. It just shows there was more than one Andy Gray about. McCann. Salvatore, who's come close once, fueling his ambition.
Well, one thing we know about continental players is that they like to have a crack from outside the box. We see the same with Andy Tom when he gets the ball there, and he's very willing to have the shot, even though he's 25, 30 yards out, quite confident in his ability to strike it.
Reached this point past Stenhousemuir on a penalty shootout after a 1-1 draw, then a third round 3-1 win at St Johnstone. Certainly the biggest test of Celtic's credentials in the League Cup so far, after seeing off Clyde and Alloa in the lower divisions by comfortable margins. Robertson takes the free kick. Flag is up. But Hearts complaining about a bit of shirt tugging. John Robertson, who was actually with Andy Thorne at Newcastle a few years ago. It wasn't the best of times for either of them earlier in their career. It was Thorne's ball forward which was helped on, and then Robertson, as the flag went up, was saying, hang on a minute.
He looked as if he had a case, actually. I think he went to make the little run there. Jersey was just tugged, and that held him back, and the flag may have been up for offside, but I think it initially was when the ball came through, but there was no doubt about it as Jersey was pulled.
Stopped him being even further offside, I suppose.
Yeah. But the Hearts haven't really got going as a front three either at the moment. Robertson had that little dribble on the edge of the box when he forced a corner early on, but they haven't really had the ball into their front men at all. But it still surprises me that Celtic are quite willing to play the game at this low-key pace, because I did think that they would try and pressurise Hearts, even though they're away side. It is a cup tie. I felt they'd go full guns blazing and have a real go.
And here's a chance to have a go. Grant's pass looking left to Cadetta. Gray. Now Boyd. Gray again. Van Hooijdonk. Celtic keeping the ball, but allowing Hearts to regroup and maybe snap in, as McCann was trying to do then, or force an error. Nicely judged the pass from Thorne. Hughes. Robertson well forward, trying to stay onside, which he managed this time. Here's Chop. Canio. He's got behind McManus. Salvatore trying to track down Gray. The third man needed, McPherson, and that was enough.
Well, one thing you can't do with Paulo Di Canio is dive in. You have to stay on your feet, very, very sharp on his feet. He's an inventive player. He creates situations. He loves to take people on.
Van Hooijdonk. Gray. There's been a decisive goal for Cadetta yet. Van Hooijdonk. All the way through to Gilles Rousset. Hearts, of course, reached the final of the Scottish Cup last season. Didn't have the best of fortunes on the big day. Jordan Jury's hat-trick, and Jordan Jury was a problem to them again at Ibrox on Saturday. Grant. McNamara did that well. Hooijdonk got space in midfield where he's clearly under instructions to play. Looking totally the master of the new job.
Yeah, I think he'll be under instructions to give the ball to Celtic players when he gets it too. He's had a lot of stray passes so far. He's getting on the ball, but really, even before we saw a pass he knocked through over the top for Peter Grant to chase. I would think that Celtic fans would rather see it the other way about.
Cameron, of course, was in the Wraith Rovers side that did untold damage to Celtic's morale in this competition, the final thereof, a couple of years ago. Di Canio. And McNamara. Tom. Van Hooijdonk. It's broken down off the Dutchman again.
Yeah, it's far too often. I mean, he's getting on the ball there. I thought that was a situation where he might have got himself in a position, turned out it, tried to go on that right foot and bend a shot. And he's a very, very powerful shot, Van Hooijdonk. Excellent with free kicks, but really, it's not his best role playing midfield. He went in there on Saturday when they were down to 10 men, and he did a fairly good job. And obviously, that encouraged Tommy Burns to think that this is a new position for Big Pierre. But at the moment, it's certainly not going his way.
Getting to know each other and trying to after getting through the first 20 minutes, I'm sure Jim Jeffers would have taken that not to concede a goal even at home. But he's in a position now where he's calling for more from his team, and the ambitions clearly there for the manager. Great. Calling card left there. But Celtic had the ball. Although again, possession of significant nature. There's going to be a booking here. And can't blame the referee for that, Gordon.
No, he definitely caught him. He left his foot in there. The challenge was late, and the referee did well actually just to let the game go on, because that's a stamp on his ankle. That could result sometimes a quite serious injury, but the referee's spot on there. So Salvatore, who was booked in the infamous match on Saturday as well, who managed to stay on for the full 90 minutes, will have to be very careful now.
I have to say, if we ever have a meaningful seven-a-side tournament, I'd put some money on Hearts. They played really well. Made Rangers look rather silly for 10 minutes or so at the end.
Jim Jeffries said they were actually better with 7. He was thinking of starting the game tonight with 7 just to see what he worked.
To be fair to Walter Smith's players, it was very disorientating for everybody concerned. Boyd. Van Hooijdonk. Take it on and again make the wrong selection. It's certainly a main feature of the match at this point. Tommy Burns making this change for this player, Pierre Van Hooijdonk.
Yeah, it seems a strange one. It's obviously something tactically Tommy had been thinking about. He's put a bit of insurance at the back with having Tommy Boyd in there for his pace. He's done the same in midfield in case Celtic overrun in that area. Also, as we mentioned before the programme, at the start of the programme, it's been a problem with midfield players. But Big Pierre is getting on the ball a lot, but his distribution's been poor. But in fairness to him, he hasn't got a player like himself at the front he can hit. He hasn't got a target man. Cadetti is making a few runs, but he's virtually on his own there, and Celtic are playing into Hearts' hands at the moment.
Thomas. Well, Mackay went in with his foot up. And that's pretty high up on a little fella like John Robertson.
Yeah, gets up to the shoulder height. A normal defender's challenge there coming through from the back. Some referees don't give those sort of things, but Mr. Clark's been spot on, very close to the play tonight. Gives Hearts an opportunity to have a shot. McCann is a left-footed player that's on his good side. I'd imagine he's the one that will curl it from there.
4 on the wall required for Gordon Marshall. An opportunity with a worthy free kick here for Hearts to do what you feel is very important for them tonight, to score the first goal. Well, it was probably going over anyway, but Marshall couldn't take that chance, although he's saying, did I get a touch?
That's just one for insurance, Martha, isn't it? Just to make sure he's not going to be embarrassed about it dropping off the crossbar, doing exactly the right thing.
Takes the corner, and it has to be turned over again. That certainly needed the intervention of the goalkeeper.
Scored already this season from a corner, Neil McCann, against Kilmarnock. Called one straight in. The keeper was under pressure on that occasion. Maybe if Hearts had got somebody in there beside Gordon Marshall, they may have done the same again.
Short side that time, knocked away by Grant. Mackay to Cameron. Top, nicely laid off to Van Hooydonk. This time he has picked out one of his own teammates. Cameron trying to buy Hearts a bit of time here against the German. To come across. Had a decent run in the side last season, Alan McManus. His first taste of first-team football. Foul throw. Which is always surprising at this level of the game.
Certainly from a German player who's played quite a number of times for his country. You know you can't really have a go at schoolboys when you see the top players doing that.
Thomas. Salvatore. For Robertson to chase. And John Hughes got rueful away from that. Tommy Boyd has to put it out. That was the case of slaying a giant here.
Yeah, I think he just put his body in there to try and turn John Robertson, and he took a little knock in his ankle as he turned him there, and although he went through with the pass back, he went down injured, but you know, he does get a lot of injuries, John Hughes. He does tend to get stuck in there and take the knocks, and you find in most games he receives treatment. Most of the games I've seen, he normally gets some treatment to his ankle. I've seen him go off the field, back on, but he's a very tough customer. Even carrying the worst of injuries, is a type of player who won't go off, he'll want to come back on. I'm just looking at the two of them there. I wonder what they're thinking about now. They must be saying that although the tactics are giving them plenty of the ball, it's not what I would have expected myself, and I think that they maybe considered pushing Pierre Van Hooydonk further up the field to try and put pressure on Hearts. They've really played into their hands. A team playing a makeshift defence, the last thing they want is to be put under a lot of pressure. And that's exactly what's happened tonight. Andy Thorne's quite an easy baptism. A young player, Gary Naismith, has done well, but not been under a lot of pressure. If Hearts could get things going up front, then you know they could really give Celtic a go here tonight. And it's not going to be the easy game that most people forecast.
Coca-Cola Cup action north and south of the border, and Manchester City may be on the verge of a new manager coming in. Dave Bassett seems to be the next man for the hot seat, but at the moment they're 2-1 down at Sincil Bank. Dave Bassett, I should say, is a manager who, of course, brought Andy Thorne into football with Wimbledon all those years ago. Of the Hearts variety, that is. He's hurt. Grant. Well, they've been poor with the finding ball, Celtic. The Hearts helped them with a weak piece of play from McPherson. Out of character from him. And in the end, he's held off Bucanio.
I think he was unlucky there, actually. It looks as if he read that little turn from Di Canio rather than made a foul. He just turned okay, the arms came up against him, but I think he knew exactly what Di Canio was going to do.
This is sometimes a problem for a taller player against a shorter man. It looks more like a shove.
Once again, Van Hooydonk, Martin, is out on the wide side here. Going to take this, is he going to shoot or is he going to play it in? But you would think that they've got other players capable of delivering the ball into the box. And with his height, it could be vital in there to get the touch on. He'll at least put defenders off. He could actually drag a tall man away from the situation. It really does surprise me that he wants to take all these set pieces in wide areas.
Well, Gary Mackay's okay, as John Hughes was a minute or two earlier. Well, maybe some justice that the free kick didn't come to anything. Rousset doing what his defenders would have wanted, dominating proceedings. It's hard to play on the far side. Yes, it's very easy for us, Gordon, to second-guess managers. They've set out their stall, Celtic. But I think so many neutral observers would have expected them to come here and say, well, we picked the right time to come to Tynecastle. Let's not let Hearts bed in whoever's playing at the back.
Yeah, that's what I think, Martin, as well. If you're having problems from Hearts, then you rearrange your team from that point of view, but you've got to play to your strengths first and foremost and see what the opposition do. And I'm certainly Jim Jeffries has been quite surprised with what's happened.
Well, as we all know, it's the final outcome that matters, and Tommy Burns may well have the last laugh. Celtic's throw. Boyd. Well, he's been a bit more purposeful there. Tom. Nothing much more than good old-fashioned persistence to try and win the ball back from a skillful opponent, but it's a free kick nonetheless. Tom. Van Hooijdonk. Maybe the problem that Tommy Burns has is looking at his star foreign names. They all really have attacking outlooks. Just a matter of getting them into the right sort of format, not just in this competition, but of course most of all in the League Championship, when this is such a crucial year for Celtic Football Club. They're absolutely desperate to stop Rangers winning the title for that magic figure, the 9th time in a row. A mistake by Naismith. And his weaker foot. Tom. Muscled out of it by Salvatore. Saying to John Robertson, chase that. Back it goes from Boyd, though. Van Hooijdonk again. Boyd's moved into midfield. And Hooijdonk looks for a more probing pass. Cadetta.
Have to be careful. Salvatore, there's another foul there on the edge of the box, and you know, he won't need to have too many of those to find himself at the end of another yellow card. This is where Van Hooijdonk is a specialist. More this sort of distance. I can't see anything other than having a shot from here.
Just moving the ball an inch or two to try and catch out the wall that Rousset has set. Referee Kenny Clark's well aware of the proper placement here, and he's going to be absolutely pedantic about it, which he's quite entitled to be, and now it's being moved again. And he'd actually turned his back, the referee, and it was the crowd's noise that made him react. And if there's any more messing about, there will be a Celtic name taken. Well, everyone seems to be settled. Here it comes from Van Hooijdonk. And the ball coped. Gray, and it's sloppy.
Yeah, not a good free kick. And Hooijdonk's been doing well this season. He's been hammering in a few free kicks from that sort of range. But I felt the wall weren't really back 10 yards. I don't suppose they ever are nowadays, but that wall certainly only looked about 6 or 7 yards away.
And if you're going to be preventing about the placing, then that's the other side of that particular coin, isn't it? Hooijdonk. On the stride away from Cameron. McNamara. Cadete coming deeper. And whatever the reason, Celtic aren't flowing particularly freely. And whether Jim Jeffries wanted an advantage played or wanted some action taken by the referee,
I think a bit of both there, Martin. I think there was a late challenge in Salvatore, no doubt about it. But having got through the challenges there, it did really well. He played the ball into McCann's feet, and I think the referee should have let the game go first, and then if there's any action to be taken regarding the challenges, come back to it.
Well, Hart certainly had the ball. Salvatore was then sent flying. So Andy Thorne takes the free kick. Yes, it is Andy Thorne of Wimbledon playing for Hearts tonight, who have just joined us. Chance for Robertson, almost a second bite at it. Here's Gary Naismith. Hasn't been much pressure from the home side. Gary Mackay. Grant. A foul given against Thorne.
Yeah, it's a firm challenge. I don't think that's a foul necessarily. Peter Grant's well used to dishing out that sort of challenge himself. It's hard and fair. Sometimes his fans don't like it, but nothing really, I don't think, detrimental in it.
Away by Salvatore. Tom with the shot. It's a good one. Goalkeeper spilt it. In goes to Canio. Goalkeeper's there again. Salvatore's there. Cadetta's there. And in the end, Gilles Rousset comes up smiling.
Yeah, he's a lucky man, I think. Bad goalkeeping initially to spill the first shot out. It wasn't a particularly well-struck volley. It was right at him. He's gone down. It's come off his chest. He made up for it slightly by making the first save, and then had a little bit of fortune there when the shot from Cadete is blocked against Thorne's legs.
Yes, and it certainly bounced off Andy Thorne. It was no suggestion of passing the ball to his own goalkeeper. Remember, we've got football for you tomorrow night from England's Coca-Cola Cup, and it's on Sky Sports 3. Sky Sports 3, Blackpool against Chelsea. Canio. Celtic with plenty of players forward in this attack late in the first half. Di Canio, it's a corner. We feel it's very important for Hearts to get through to the break. Level pegging. Going into this match in adversity, but certainly standing their corner to this point. Now it's defending a corner. Cadete is unusual for a player from Portugal in that he is very good in the air. And there were certain representations from the big clubs back home from his point of view to take him back in the summer, becoming an instant hit in Scotland. And here's Kevin Thomas. Obstructed by Mackay, no. And Hoydok. Lucanio trying to get in behind McManus. What did you make of that, Gordon?
No, I would like to see the statistics on Big Pierre's contribution tonight. His distribution in this match is a lot of bad passes. But I'm not so sure that he was actually going to get on the end of it. It's definitely a body check, but I think that it's what a defender would normally do, just to take the man out and let the ball run into his colleague.
Lucanio. Celtic sending up Mackay. And Hughes as well. That's Mackay. To put everyone back. Boyd. Cadete. Nicely done for Tommy Boyd. It's a tap on the shoulder, and it's going to be a yellow card. Not the first in Peter Grant's career, not the last, I'm sure.
No, I think that's just mistimed. I think he's definitely going for the ball there. Two players, it's just a touch ahead of him. Cameron gets the ball, and I think his reputation goes before him with that booking, because I mean both players were going full out for that, and that's the way Peter Grant plays anyway.
And that probably is why he's well known to the refereeing fraternity. Moving towards stoppage time. McCann taken away from Thomas by Marshall. Wanted to get rid of it quickly, as he's done a couple of times in this first half to very good effect. One or two of his teammates may be thinking about the break.
There haven't really many crossing opportunities tonight, Hearts, from good areas, but that was certainly one there. McCann, I think, wanted to pull the ball back a little bit further there and keep the ball away from Marshall as he came for it.
Mackay. And Hoydok. To remind you once again, if it takes penalties, it has to be settled here at Tynecastle tonight. Lucanio. He's done brilliantly here. Oh, and McNamara, rather nervously in the end, tensely if you like, prodded it well off target.
Lovely play from Lucanio again. He always feints as if he's going to cross the ball. He's in a great turning circle. I mean, he turns in hardly any space at all. Lays it back. Jackie McNamara just has to draw on it very, very quickly there. I would put that down to a half chance, really.
Half-time at Tynecastle. The late arrival has marshalled the depleted side at the back, Andy Thorne. Hearts may be surprised that Pierre van Hooijdonk, a major threat they would have expected further forward, has been in Celtic's midfield. And Tommy Burns' side haven't really mounted a regular threat. We've had a goalless first half. We'll be back after the break.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
People don't do the gauntlet anymore.
Have you ever done it?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I ran the gauntlet once when I was 18 and completely insane. But don't worry, we're going to hit some 3s and 4 pluses. You're going to scream your guts out. You'll love it.
It is going to be the adventure of a lifetime.
We are going to risk death a number of times on this trip.
Hey there!
Until two strangers
We've been waiting for you.
turned it into a nightmare.
I don't like those guys. We'll just find a way to leave them behind.
What are you guys doing?
I tried to be nice to you. You're gonna get another chance to run the gauntlet.
It's bigger than anything you've ever seen, and you're gonna drown in it.
Meryl Streep
I'm gonna kill you, Wade.
and Kevin Bacon
I don't think so.
in a gripping thriller from the director of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
No!
Hold on for the British television premiere of The River Wild, 10 o'clock Saturday on the Movie Channel.
Because of the kind of work I do, and having clean, shiny hair is an absolute must for me. I'm a real fiddler when it comes to my hair. I push it behind my ears a lot. So if I've been working all day and I fiddled with it a lot, I mean, that makes it dirty. I always wash my hair with Head & Shoulders dandruff shampoo every day.
pH-balanced Head & Shoulders clears dandruff, and it's mild enough to use as often as you want.
It's very touchable hair. You want to feel it because it looks so sort of healthy and shiny. I keep it nice and clean so that I can fiddle with it afresh the next day.
We've all done it, haven't we? You're about to ring an old friend, and then you think to yourself, perhaps not. It might be a bad time. Well, you could ask them.
Betty? June, great to hear from you.
Is this a good time?
Well, we have got a bit of a crisis on at the moment.
The mice have escaped.
Half an hour, would you? Great. Then we can talk in peace. Oh, thanks for calling back, June. Oh, Tina left the cage door open. One of the mice is still missing, but I'm sure it'll turn up. Listen, you'll never guess what's happened to Linda.
There you go. They ain't got time to have a proper natter.
What? Sideways?
See? It's good to talk.
New Dolmio stir-in sauce. You spend less time making it. So, you can spend more time enjoying it. New Dolmio stir-in sauce.
If you're not registered to vote, you can't have a say. Your council will send you a form.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Looking ahead to the weekend, Spanish football, Saturday evening, 7:30, Sky Sports 2, live, the Grones against the Spanish champions Atletico Madrid. We're at half-time, Hearts against Celtic, now on Sky Sports 1 from Tynecastle. Match facts on this Coca-Cola Cup fourth round tie. No goals at half-time. 7 attempts on goal. Celtic just shade it there. And 3 on target to just 1 for the home side Hearts. 5 corners apiece. 9-6 in fouls. Hearts have committed them more. Just 4 offsides. A man apiece booked so far. Salvatore and Peter Grant. Nobody sent off. Things looking up in Scotland. First half action areas, the bulk of it in this midfield battle for supremacy that seems to have been such a big feature. Ball in play for 25, nearly 26 minutes. Celtic with the bulk of the possession, 60% of that. And here in the studio with me, Stevie Archibald and Charlie Nicholas. Your thoughts on the first half, Steve?
I think Hearts are committed to the cause. Their commitment's exceptional. They're really on the borderline. It's not they're over-aggressive, but they're aggressively attacking the game. Their commitment's great, and I think they're doing as much as they could possibly do to try and win this game. They're lacking balls into box and support to the box, but so are Celtic.
How do you feel Celtic have gone about the job tonight,
Well,
Charlie?
the surprise is obviously with Pierre dropping to the deeper role. Although he's quite good at passing the ball, I don't think he's naturally playing in that role. I think maybe just a little reverse in Andy Tom, maybe even being deeper. I think he's got more of a cunning brain on him. But Celtic still look as if they're possible. I mean, Decano's skill at the end there was exceptional. They look still as if they're the team that's got kind of the better cutting edge.
Let's review 1 or 2 of the first half highlights. Steve, the first real threat on goal came from Hearts on 12 minutes.
This was very, very close. Snapshot, and I think the goalkeeper was also blocked on it. His sight to it was blocked, and it was almost there.
Pierre van Hooijdonk, who you mentioned maybe trying to stitch things together a little more tonight for Celtic, but he did create the first moment of danger at the other end, Charlie.
He's been involved a lot, and it's a good ball here. But we mentioned this earlier, look at his touch. His touch is absolutely sensational, typical European. And then just wants to smash it across the goal and on target and take any luck that maybe goes his way.
Definitely a shot from there rather than a pullback across the goal.
I would say rather a shot, yeah, but in the danger area, which is the main thing.
Now, in the preview to tonight's game, Steve, we talked about Neil McCann and what a dangerous player he is from dead balls on that left foot. He created danger with the free kick, and then the corner which followed almost embarrassed Celtic.
It almost caught the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's out for the cross, and he's whipped in. It was definitely.
And he's done it before this season, hasn't he, McCann?
He's done it. He does it regularly, and that was definitely going in. Yeah.
How do you feel Hearts have pieced it together going forward, Charlie?
Yeah, I think they've been very little going forward. I think McCann's looked more of a threat than anybody else in their advanced positions. But as Stevie quite rightly says, they have actually been in borderline physical-wise. They've really been over-aggressive in certain times. Maybe got away with it on a couple of occasions, but they need more. They need more supply to Robertson if they're going to get anywhere.
Well, he did get some supply on 39 minutes, in fact, and it created a moment of danger.
Yeah, it's actually a thing that they've not done a lot of as it breaks out. It's actually, you know, it's not cleared properly. And then suddenly, Salvatore, I think it is, who picks it up. Instead of just knocking it in and hoping, he's picked somebody out, and it's Robertson who makes a great run. He's clever at that. Doesn't get enough on it, and big Gordon Marshall's done enough. So that's the threat that Hearts carry when they pass like that, rather than the hopeful ball.
He's very aware, John Robertson, around the fringes of the boxes.
He's a predator
feeling his
by nature. By nature, he's a predator. He wants to get goals, and he's usually within like 10 yards out. That's where he gets his goals.
Goalkeepers in the first half, Steve, for you?
Yeah, I think that Marshall's come and claimed a couple of corners, a couple of crosses. Looks quite confident. Blocked Robertson there. Is looking competent on the night. Big Frenchman let one bounce off his chest, and Di Canio was only an ace away from it.
Yes. Now, this for you is a goalkeeping error, is that right?
Yeah, goalkeeper should take it. Comes up, bounces off his chest, and Di Canio's not far away from being 1-0 to Celtic. Keeper got a little bit of luck there.
How much credit would you give Hearts with this reshaped defence that they've got, what, 4 bodies in there to protect the goal line?
Yeah, well, I would suggest that Celtic have not really put them under enough pressure to test them, and so they've really been given an easier sort of night. And we were saying before the game that maybe Hearts would try and withstand the first 20 minutes from Celtic, but it looks the reverse to me. It looks like maybe Tommy's thought, well, maybe after the game on Saturday, the Hearts game on Saturday against Rangers, maybe they'll be fired up. We'll just hold them, and then we'll play the game at our rhythm, and that's what they're trying to do.
One final thought before the break, Charlie, as Steve has suggested there, do you feel the crowd has been a feature here tonight for Hearts?
I'm sure they
appear to have really tried to get behind the side.
I'm sure they are, because we mentioned before the game, it is a passionate place. It's a hard place to go and get a victory when you're the away team. And there's no doubt about that. They've got right behind their team after the aggression of Saturday. But in saying that, I think Tommy Burns has been right. I mean, Hearts have come out and been very physical, and it showed in their play. So well, it'll be interesting second half, that's for sure.
Thanks to Charlie and to Steve. Second half about to get underway in a few moments at Tynecastle. Then no goals at half-time. And just to remind you, we must have a winner tonight. Extra time and penalties, should they be necessary.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Williams and Torres face a new type of drug gang.
Martial arts are a hobby of mine. Whoever did this was a black belt. I need you and Williams undercover.
Sometimes they gotta be tough.
Who is it? Police!
Sometimes they have to be gentle.
If you don't stand for something, then you're just gonna fall for anything.
Sometimes they gotta bend the rules.
Now you went undercover at the school? You disobeyed me.
Starsky and Hutch for the 90s.
Police!
New York Undercover, tonight at 10 on Sky 2.
Dear Volkswagen, my husband and I have recently divorced, and as my part of the settlement, I had our new Volkswagen Golf, which my ex-husband assured me cost £13,000. Now, thanks to one of your advertisements, I've discovered it only cost £10,860. I always thought Volkswagens were expensive. Now I know differently and have acted accordingly. Yours gratefully, Caroline Napier.
Some people like to do their banking by phone. other people like to go to their branch? With a Halifax current account, you can do both. Phone or go to the branch. Phone or go to the branch. Get a little extra help with 24-hour banking from the Halifax.
Saving money makes me happy. Insurance made me happy. Getting me home after an accident made me happy. Yes, I'm happy. Car insurance costs less than I thought.
Call direct on 0800 444 777.
First there was Football Mania, now it's Football Mania Plus. The Daily Mirror's midweek sports mag, free tomorrow. Football plus cricket, football plus rugby, football plus boxing, football plus all the top sport. Football Mania Plus, free tomorrow and every Wednesday, only in the Daily Mirror.
Blades will fly, but it's not fencing. The speed will amaze you, but we're not talking Formula One. He who dares wins, but it's not boxing.
It's about putting it in the back of the net.
But it's not about football.
Get to know British ice hockey. The new Super League starts with Sheffield v Manchester. Saturday, 6:30, live on Sky Sports 1.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Cup football in England and Scotland tonight. We're at Tynecastle. Hearts about to resume against Celtic. Just to point out that in England, the big shock of the night is brewing up at Sincil Bank, where Division 3 Lincoln City lead Manchester City by 3-1. All the details to follow, Sky Sports Centre, after the football, which resumes now in the company of Gordon Smith and Martin Tyler.
Welcome back to Tynecastle. Hearts already out. And with all the hoo-ha of last weekend, it hasn't been pointed out, really, that Hearts haven't got to the semi-final in the League Cup since 1988. Well, they've got a chance tonight to do so. They need to maintain their work rate here that was conspicuous in the first half. A scratch side, you can call it, backed by fanatical support and producing from Celtic more than a touch of caution. Start the second half. Here's Naismith. Nice change of direction from Gary Mackay, and it's a pass that certainly had Kevin Thomas chasing. And John Hughes having to turn and scamper to put it out. Made that lovely turn. Cameron! Plenty of meat in the shot.
Nice play. Gary Mackay's already played a prominent part at the start of the second half. The Hearts there, pushing a couple of nice passes. That ball was just flicked inside there. Cameron busting a good shot on goal. Just a good height for the keeper, though, it's got to be said, but good action from the Hearts.
Salvatore, who showed a willingness to shoot in the first half. Celtic made sure that didn't happen. That was a terrific try by Thorpe.
Well, that would have been quite a story, wouldn't it? Andy Thorne up for his first game and blasting a goal in a quarter-final of the Coca-Cola Cup, but good save from Marshall.
And he's back where he needs to be now to make a challenge. In fact, he didn't get the ball. He's going to get a booking.
Yeah, once again, I think that's a bit harsh. There's no doubt Di Canio looks as if he'd overrun it. Quick feet, though. Thorne is going in to try and block it, the tackle. And just catches Di Canio's momentum, takes him over Thorne, and that's a bit harsh. So the free kick would have been good enough, I think.
Well, this was the high for Andy Thorne. Terrific strike. There might be a low to come. He's already got the booking, and Celtic have got the free kick.
Another dangerous area as well. Van Hooijdonk once again, and I think he want the wall back a bit more. Still only about 7 or 8 yards, and the referee's trying to pull them back. But Van Hooijdonk will definitely try and curl one over the wall. He is very successful this season from that sort of distance.
Struck the wall. Now McNamara. Nicely done by McCann. Van Hooijdonk puts his big frame in the way. McNamara. Had to change the pace, Gary Naismith, to make sure McNamara didn't get behind him. But there was enough pressure on the 17-year-old to concede the corner. Andy Thorne hooked, as we saw, to Canio. Celtic got a lot of players in the centre, but not a header of any substance. Jim Jeffries definitely trying to get 3 out-and-out attackers into the game, but it's very difficult. In fact, the way the game is shaped up, John Robertson pretty isolated. Thomas and McCann doing their best to link up when they get the opportunity. Those opportunities have been few and far between. It's a free kick against Thomas.
And despite all the problems, they're showing a more positive outlook than Celtic have in this match, really, because Celtic, you know, with all the star players they've got in forward positions, have been a little bit more cagey. Hearts really having a go for it. Okay, they're the underdog and they've nothing really to lose, but they've carried a very positive message into this match, and the supporters are enjoying it.
Now, what's going to happen here? Is that going to be seen as a back pass? Marshall doesn't know whether he can go and get it. Hughes certainly knew that he had to get it. McCann. Well, there's a bit of an inquest going on, and they're looking across at Stuart Gray, who hoisted it high towards his own penalty area.
It was one of those interesting ones, wasn't it, for the goalkeeper? I thought at one point he was going to come head it, but there was a bit of backspin, just stopped it. Hughes did well to deal with it on his own, really.
Marshall got help from one of the great characters of the Scotland game, John Yogi Hughes. If you want to know why it's Yogi, you have to be a bit older than me.
Yeah, that's right. Previous Yogi. I'm not saying I know because I'm older than you, but I know because there was a John Hughes that played for Celtic in the 60s and did very well.
Doing well for Hearts here, Dave McPherson, and forget and what can best be described as a forwards challenge. And the referee showing him a bit of sympathy. On other days that might be a booking.
A nice lunge forward with Dave McPherson there.
You can learn from the Continentals. Even an old dog can be taught a new trick or two. That's another free kick to Hearts. This is more at the business end of things. Up goes McPherson. Thomas waiting as well. Mackay takes. I think a certain section of the ground thought that the referee was pointing the penalty spot then.
And certainly did. That the normal sort of free kick you put in there, barging and boring in the box there, I didn't really see much in it. I think it was just a person going in there and charging into players.
Boyd. The referee's going to stop it here. Risk of a head injury, although to his credit, Kevin Thomas got up pretty quickly, betraying his inexperience, perhaps.
Yeah, I think he just got a knock there. Normal challenge from Gray coming in. Speaking of the Hearts, a young Gary Naismith's fitted in well, Martin. I mean, he's only 17 years of age. I spoke to Jeffries before the match, and he said that he felt the boy could handle it. He is captain of the reserve team despite his young years. He said only one game in the first team before, that was the very end of last season.
And that was a substitute.
That's right. This is a big match for him to come in, and he's slotted in really well. And once again, it looks like Jim Jeffries unearthed another talented youngster.
They tell me he doesn't lack self-belief, which is a great thing in a young footballer. And he's quite happy to mix it with the big boys tonight. He's one of them, Tom Boyd. McNamara. Knocked up by Thorne. Well, they've been substandard on the edge of the Hearts area at Celtic, given the international quality in the lineup. And Hearts sees an opportunity here. Gary Mackay has spent half his life in the employment of this football club, and he's 32 now. You can do your sums on that. Into the first team at a very tender age, even younger than Naismith is now. Mackay, who came late on the scene, a different type of entrance into the professional game, Malky Mackay. The cameo. Plenty of room here for Andy Todd. Cadetta trying to take some defenders away. Still Tom. Well, one back by the combative Italian Salvatore. Well, Pasquale Bruno might be missing tonight, but some of his battling qualities reflected in his fellow countrymen.
Yeah, good covering again by him. He read that situation well. It was a good break for Celtic. I felt when Tom got the ball there, he was going to charge right through and go right at the Hearts defence with that pace he's got. But decided just to delay the attack. They've done that quite a lot tonight, Celtic. They've laboured their attack, allowing Hearts to get players back. Salvatore bursting back from the midfield area, they're making a good challenge.
And Tommy Burns' team haven't been able to unhinge this new back line of McManus, McPherson and Ford. Hold on. Can he reach it? He's kept it in play, and it needs a header from McManus. It wasn't a clearing header. Salvatore there. McManus is there again. It's more a lot asked of little Robertson. Back comes Celtic with McNamara. Fully impose their quality on this quarter-final. Celtic now with Van Hooijdonk. Again, a situation where a goalkeeper has to be sure in his work. It may be that the bend on the shot was going to just take it off the target.
There's a good strike, though, from that sort of distance, and there was a full hand from Bruce just to push that wide, but Van Hooijdonk showing that shooting prowess that he has once again.
Van Hooijdonk trying to get across McPherson, who's around too long to be caught out like that. The ball on from Cameron to Salvatore on the gallop. Cameron supporting him again. Others further forward in the famous maroon jerseys. Gary Mackay. Celtic have got back in sufficient numbers, they would feel, and Naismith's cross drifts into the arms of a grateful goalkeeper.
Yeah, not a good ball from the youngster, but it looks as if there's more belief about Hearts in this second half.
Cadet.
I imagine they would sit in the dressing room at half-time and Jim Jeffries would be telling them they've not got anything to fear here. Celtic haven't been playing well in the match. They haven't really exerted the pressure that I'm sure everyone at Hearts was expecting. And he's sitting there looking quite calm at this moment, but you know, Celtic can step it up. That's the big worry for Jim Jeffries. Certainly thinks that any minute now Celtic are going to suddenly explode upon them, but you know, the longer the game goes on, the better and stronger that Hearts will become.
Well, if that does happen, Gordon, certainly Hearts have given their fans a run for their money tonight, because I'm sure plenty of the supporters here in Edinburgh coming thinking, fearing the worst, knowing the difficulties the managers had in finding the right side, finding a side to play. Top. And that's only if it happens. Canio, quality there, and again. Find the gap, it didn't quite open up. Chance for Tom to plant it in again. And Hooydonk. Sensibly having a look. He's hit it pretty long, at least into a channel that Robertson was trying to fill. It wasn't just a straightforward, totally hopeful ball out. It's been very difficult for Hearts to build their play on any consistent basis. They're playing with the right kind of passion here, controlled passion. Good work from Naismith. We all know about what a good athlete Boyd is. Cadetta, now Boyd. That's Cadetta, but it came too quickly at him. Touched back by Gray, who's getting more and more forward into the penalty area when the play builds down the Celtic right.
The best of matches for George Cadetta tonight. Nothing's gone right for him. He hasn't had a single decent ball in front of goal or a cross that he can go on the end of. And I wonder if Tommy Burns might be thinking about making a change. He's got his subs warming up just now. I imagine first choice might be somebody like Simon Donnelly to come in here. But first and foremost, I would think he would possibly like to go more in more positive fashion, attack a bit more, push Van Hooydonk forward before he thinks about actually bringing anybody off the bench.
Wasted by Mackay. No goals, and we've had almost an hour of Tynecastle, flipped on by Robertson. He knows a thing or two about scoring goals. McCann's ball is a good one. Thomas coming in. Marshall just there before him, needed to be.
Yeah, that's a good early ball. Doesn't have to run past them. He swings it into a great area between the defenders and the goalkeeper. And Gordon Marshall has done really well there to come and smother that, because forwards were going to be on the end of it if he hadn't.
Gordon Marshall, I think, was sold to Celtic by Jim Jeffries from Falkirk, was he? There's certainly a connection there. Play on, says referee Kenny Clark. This is Staccanio. Play on now.
Oh, he's in trouble.
It's a second yellow for Salvatore, and Hearts have lost a player again.
Yeah, it was the risk he had to take. He's made one or two challenges, got away with it. He's had an excellent game. That's obviously part of his game. He just hangs a trailing leg, and I don't think you can have any complaints about that. He's just got to pull out of that sort of challenge. And he's putting his team in a lot of trouble, seeing what's happened on Saturday. Hearts all of a sudden down to 10 men, but I think he's let his side down there. He really, when you've got a yellow card, you've just got to make sure that you don't get into any stupid challenges.
And of course, the first player to go off at Ibrox was an Italian as well, Bruno. And it was all downhill for Hearts then. Is it going to be the same story here on their own ground tonight? They have to play now for the remainder of this quarter-final with 10 men. The only thing you can say of a positive nature is they've had some recent practice at doing it. Salvatore's sent off. Van Hooydonk. Terrific piece of defending by Thorpe. had to make sure he got solid contact on it, otherwise it could have slewed off anywhere. Tom. Deflection. And it was a big one too. Rousset would have been left totally stranded had that come under the crossbar rather than a yard or so over.
Yeah, a little bit fortunate here. You just feel the Celtic fans have been lifted by this. Nothing they've actually done, but just the fact that's down to 10 men, I think they see their chance to go on and win this match.
That's McPherson's head. There's no way out. The Hearts has just rolled into space, a bit of collecting to be done here. By Peter Grant. The Celtic team here is pretty strong favourites in this situation. They're overwhelming favourites, but they're not playing well. I feel it should just be a matter of time. Really, football matches aren't won like that.
Well, most managers always say it's difficult to play against 10 players, sometimes even more difficult. I imagine it's something that, once again, that will galvanise these Hearts players into putting in the extra effort. You just wonder if they've got enough left.
And those, of course, who were involved at Ibrox gave efforts really beyond the call of duty. But we have to stress here, both bookings deserved, and the referee left with no alternative.
I think absolutely, man. I think that he could have no complaints about it.
Tom. Cadetta. Here's McNamara. Pass McCann. Wow. It was an earlier infringement. I think that the game was stopped, possibly prevented Celtic getting a penalty here.
Yeah, they're getting the benefit of the doubt there. He did really well, McNamara. Great balance, and I think he's just got inside the box there when McCann's made that challenge.
But it's only a free kick. Maybe a rare lucky break Hearts will feel the way the last 2 days has gone. That was Di Canio. Bodies in the way. Kamara. Taken away by Tom, rather, trying to be too clever. Robertson. Well, this is of the David versus Goliath variety.
Shame for Salvatore. Yeah, it's a shame for Salvatore because he was looking, you know, at possibly being the man of the match, and the way he's been playing. He's had a super game since his first booking, and you know, it has let his side down. I mean, it's not as if a challenge had to be made. Some of the Hearts fans are booing Di Canio when he gets on the ball, but I don't think, you know, Di Canio has feigned the injury at all, or the tackle, made it look worse than it was. I think it was just a bad challenge, an unfortunate challenge.
And we've had 20 minutes of the second half. Cadetta. Robertson well forward. Is it far forward enough for the referee to take stern retribution here? Apparently not. Cover arriving, Gordon.
Yeah, the cover was arriving, but it meant it wasn't last man. But you'd imagine that if that's considered a foul at all, then you wonder why the yellow card hasn't come out, because if he hadn't fouled him, Robbie Robertson's getting beyond the Celtic defence, even though Mackay's coming back to offer the help and assistance that he needed there. But a few of the Hearts fans not happy with that decision.
Robertson has a word, but trots on past the ball. And with a healthy run up here, it's McManus It hit Grant. Naismith. McCann. A reasonable angle perhaps to get the ball in for Hearts. But Grant again. Turning away well was Stuart Gray. Malky Mackay. Van Hooijdonk. Nice dummy by Di Canio. Gray plays it shorter this time to Van Hooijdonk. Imara. Becker goes to the near post. Celtic players complaining that Naismith had blocked it with a hand. He wants to square up to McNamara, which is not the wisest policy. Of course, in the second round of the Coca-Cola Cup in England, there is a second leg, but it's already looking pretty daunting for Manchester City away to Lincoln City of Division 3. Pour one down. Whether Dave Bassett will be installed as manager in that second leg.
Good time for him to go in there. The only way is up, Martin.
There's space here, and there's bound to be some room for Celtic. They've really shown great appetite for exploiting it, as if they expect the right kind of chance to materialise as the evening wears on, and they'll be quite happy if it takes extra time to do it. We're 20 minutes away from that. McNamara's corner. And Hooijdonk. Here's Tom.
Well, he struck it reasonably well there. It just fell to his left foot. The main idea there is just to try and keep the ball down. It's not an easy one to hit. It's bouncing up towards him. He's hit it in a half volley. They can go anywhere, really, but Celtic at the moment, even though they've got that extra man, they're still not making Hearts pay for it. They're not getting the width they require, getting the ball out to McNamara on one side and Gray on the other. They should just hold them in the widest areas possible in order to stretch Hearts right across the middle. They're having to pull Thomas back at times and cover, but there's certainly a man down in midfield.
It's good play by Thorne and Robertson and Cameron and McCann. It's as good a piece of football as Hearts have put together in the match. They're still in there scrapping. They've still got a chance. Even though the odds are considerable against them. Tom. McNamara. Corner. It's as far as Celtic get. It was a lovely ball. Andy Thorne played up to Robertson. He dealt with it well. Cameron and McCann involved further forward after that. Good play from the home side. Tom will take the corner. Well, he's chased and chased, John Robertson. I wonder whether Jim Jeffries might be thinking of some fresh legs up front.
Absolutely, man. I think he must be tiring now. He's had to play a lone furrow there through the middle most of the time on his own. The other two players are playing just off him and wide, and he has got cover on the bench in the likes of John Colquhoun if he's fully fit to come on there and do a running job. Colquhoun's got a lot of pace as well, and that might just catch Celtic out as they push forward to try and get this winner.
Is push forward the right expression? It's fairly cool and calculating, isn't it?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
not exactly hell for leather.
No, it's not. But I think that Celtic, you know, they could definitely lift it from this. They're not playing well tonight at all, and it looks as if the low-key start they had is perpetrated right throughout the match, and they can't seem to lift it, even though Hearts now with 10 men. they don't seem to be able to raise that a gear and put them under any pressure.
Hughes. Boyd. When we talk about changing the pace of play, Gordon, it's not always easy. It's an expression that's easy to use rather than actually, it's theory rather than practice, really, is what I'm trying to say. When you're into a rhythm of a game, to suddenly say, well, let's up it.
Exactly.
It doesn't come naturally.
Yeah, I think that Celtic, with the sort of start they had, they set the seeds for the whole game, and now they need to lift it that little bit. You're quite right in saying that, man. They just can't seem to put their finger on the trigger. It may require substitutes to come on and actually do that, but you know, Tommy Burns has got out there all his star players who consider them the forward areas, and you would expect them to do the job.
Here's Gary Mackay, couldn't quite take it with him, and Celtic were lucky that he couldn't. Because that's the fine balance of this quarter-final.
Good strike in play by John Robson. Look at the turn there, comes off, holds the ball up. Very, very unlucky not to get a break there.
Cadetta and Hoydonk. Becoming a great running infield of him, but McPherson had spotted the run and the ball and seemed to be impeded. And the referees these days have that power to see whether there's any advantage, so he waited Kenny Clark, gave the free kick, taken quickly, off goes Thomas on a willing chase, but the ball was far too strong for him. But when you think Hearts have had one of the lowest points in the history of the club on Saturday, if they could win here, it would be one of their finest hours.
No question there.
Cadetta. McNamara. Goal kick.
Nice little bit of play there, and Hoydonk to Getty combining with the 1-2, and Hoydonk's pass was reasonably played, but just got right in the way, and there's a yellow card.
Yes, as we looked at the replay, Di Canio got himself involved with the referee. And now Van Hooijdonk wants to take up the argument. It's really silly for Celtic to get embroiled in this. And Celtic might lose an Italian of their own. Cadetta trying to calm him down, putting a Portuguese straitjacket around Paolo Di Canio.
He seems to have lost that. I don't know whether he was claiming that it should have been a corner kick or whatever, but he certainly lost the head a little bit there. Van Hooijdonk involved, but the referee not standing for any nonsense at this stage of the game, and already having sent a player off, you know that there's one thing, the referee's done that, it means that he's not going to hold back. If there's an evening up situation arises, he'll send the Celtic player off.
And that would be suicidal for Celtic in this situation. They held the strongest cards at the outset. The loss of Salvatore seemed to think that they were dealing in trumps then. But it hasn't happened. Not yet the winning hand. For the side that had taken 13 points out of 15 in the Premier Division, and hard on the heels of Rangers. This has been a difficult evening for them, as if they felt the pressure. And the Hearts players meeting them when I arrived at the ground, the pressure off them, really, strangely, for a home game.
I don't suppose you could really lose, and I think that's a bad decision there with the linesman. I think Van Hooijdonk was onside when that ball was played through there. He may not have caught it anyway. Russell was right out there, but once again on the edge there, a marginal decision from a linesman and getting it wrong.
Cadetta. McManus has been short of first-team football this season. He has featured once or twice, but they haven't faltered at the back. I think of McManus's inexperience, Andy Thorne's lack of match practice.
think Thorne slotted in really well. You don't know what his level of fitness is. I'm sure it's pretty good, but although the game's not been played at a terrifically fast pace, he's managed to cope with it well, and he and McPherson are slotted into that centre of the defence as if they've played together before.
Gutsy stuff from Hearts. And Cameron that time. McCann. This is Naismith. McCann is capable of getting the odds back in Hearts' favour by taking out a couple of Celtic players with his skill on the ball. Cameron. It's a real dynamo of a player. Cameron again. It's not a bad ball because it was aimed for the first man, and then Marshall made a comfortable catch. McPherson actually claimed that he was impeded. When Hearts get the free kick, it's nearer the halfway line.
I think Dave McPherson was claiming there he was impeded by John Hughes. That ball was knocked in the box. It was a good little ball in from Cameron there. I think Hughes just did enough to put him off. Dave McPherson making the most of it.
It's one of those continental times that he's learned.
Yeah, he's obviously picking these up from playing with all these foreign players. If he'd only learned that early in his career, Matt, he might have a few more penalty kicks.
It's a free kick, and there is McPherson. And, they weren't going to leave it to Marshall. Could have done, in fact, but Marky Mackay couldn't be sure. John Hughes impedes Neil McCann. Looking for Hughes. Well, is this an opportunity for Hearts to score what would be possibly a truly famous goal? Robertson. Obviously hoping someone, friend or foe, might get a nick.
Yeah, exactly what he wanted there. Someone to run across the front of the keeper. I felt that it was always on that was going to happen, and somebody should have been in there, just making sure that Gordon Marshall couldn't take the ball easily, as he did there about waist height.
McManus. He's got to be careful. But the referee, I think, has given Celtic the free kick. Robertson, who is a gritty little character. Kenny Clark made up his mind very quickly, to be fair to the referee. And he got in, quickly got to the scene of the crime to defuse the situation. Here comes Celtic. Van Hooydonk. In the position, perhaps, we've expected to see him. But he's finally arrived to get on the end of a cross.
He's out of practice, that's the problem. He's been labouring about in midfield for most of the night. He's had a few long shots, but not getting in there where it hurts. But once again, you saw there his prowess. He got to the near post. There's the little fight. There was not much in that at all. I think that sometimes the referees give the foul against the player who actually catches the ball between the legs, and on that occasion, John Hughes getting the award in his favour. Maybe the referee didn't want to penalise him again, having just given him a yellow card.
Yes, I think, to be fair to the referee, he'd already blown before actually we got to the replay that we've just seen. It was a very quick response. Right. He's calmed down a bit. McNamara has got the depth on the cross. Certainly the tall Rousset couldn't come and get it. Mark's looking to make a substitution. Well, Jim Jeffries has trawled far and wide for his catches. And Jeremy Goss, 14 years at Norwich City, comes on for Kevin Thomas. Goss would have played more, but he put a groin strain on his debut. the European Cup Cup. Cadete. Grant. Ross, of course, capped for Wales on 9 occasions. He was actually born in Cyprus and was qualified for all the home countries. Hughes.
Boyd making a run forward there. He's trying to help. He knows things aren't going well for Celtic up front. They can't release any players in behind. Decide to use his pace there to get in behind Hearts defence, but well tracked down by defenders again. Good covering again. Goss there. Ritchie, should I say, young Naismith there in the left-back position, and not giving Hearts any trouble at all.
Here's Paul Ritchie, one of the players suspended.
Players, yeah.
Here's Naismith. 7 minutes away from extra time. Naismith. Gary Mackay for 10-man Hearts. Cameron!
Well, it wasn't where Gary Mackay intended to play that pass, but it was very, very unlucky there. Nice little ball from Naismith into him, but he played it as a deflection through. Cameron just almost getting on the end of that there, very unlucky.
To watch 3 in the centre in the Celtic hoops. Well, they were watching the players. They didn't need to watch the ball in the end.
Uncharacteristic of Stuart Gray. Normally, good delivery of the ball from those sort of areas. You have to keep the ball in play and get it into the back post, and failed to do that there.
Just a chance to remind you again, on Sky Sports 3 tomorrow night, action in England, Blackpool against Chelsea. Sky Sports 3. Well, the thing about cup ties is it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win. Celtic have not played to full capacity. They'll live with that if they book their place in the semi-final. But at the moment, the medals being handed out at this stage will be pinned on those wearing maroon. Not because they've dominated the game, because they've made it a game.
Yeah, as the underdogs, they're going to come out with the most credit. Celtic are going to be criticised, but they won't mind as long as they go through. But certainly no one will be enamoured by this performance.
Gray. Tom. Here's Boyd. We've seen him this far forward on several occasions. Hasn't led to anything clear-cut in Tommy Burns' team. Grant. McNamara. It's Tom. Van Hooijdonk! Well, as he craned the neck forward then, you feared for Hearts.
It was a good ball delivered by Grant there. Knocked back across the goal, and there was Van Hooijdonk. I think good work by Thorne. He just did enough to stop Van Hooijdonk getting over the top of the header, heading it down into the net.
Well, I think you can see why in that instant Jim Jeffries wanted an experienced player, even on a very short-term basis, rather than putting in another of his youngsters. McCann, a word of warning from the referee. He's got a lot of weight to throw around. The player who played in last year's League Cup final with Dundee, his previous club.
Looks like he's come out the under-12 league at times now, like that, with that baby face of his. But Celtic making a substitution now.
Off goes Stuart Gray. On comes Simon Donnelly. takes it. Cameron, oh, he's left the ball behind. Di Canio. I don't know what the referee was going to make of that. Di Canio can't argue the toss because he's already been booked for dissent. Hearts survive by the skin of their teeth. Here's Goss. Van Hooijdonk. Cadete to trading places for a moment. This is Tom. Donnelly. McNamara. It's over Van Hooijdonk. Good play from Alan McManus. He's done his cause no harm at all tonight.
With a superb game, youngster. Unlucky probably not to play as regular this season. He had a very good season last year when he played in the team with Bruno and Richie. Bruno organising the two youngsters at the back for long spells, and Hearts had a successful run with him there, so he's really regained his spot in the team again tonight with this performance.
And that beavering away quality of John Robertson has got Hearts a free kick. Well, there'll be very little time for a comeback if Hearts can smash and grab here. And there's another opportunity. Corner conceded rather tamely by Van Hooijdonk. Well, what a moment this would be for Heart of Midlothian. We're a minute or so away from extra time. They're down to 10 men. They feel that the world's against them here at the moment, but everything could change. McCann. Still McCann. Mackay's there. Well, McNamara might have felt that was shoulder to shoulder. The referee didn't see it that way. Hearts can keep the pressure on, really, for the first time in the match. Sustained concern for Celtic.
I think they just want to throw the ball right in here between the keeper and the 6-yard box here, just to get pressure on it. They've got big men up. McPherson's there, he'll be attacking it.
Taken by McCann. There's space to break here for Celtic with Tom. Di Canio. Still. Can he win it for Celtic? And Gilles Rousset drops on it for a truly significant save in stoppage time as we look towards extra time.
Terrific break from Celtic. Good ball initially from Tom. Di Canio doing well just to get himself to space. I'm sure certainly would like to have a little bit more curl on it. Just get it inside the post, but Rousset doing well to get down and smother that one.
Bit of misjudgment by Thorne. There hasn't been much of that. Looks as though Andy Thorne's going to have to put in some overtime for his match fee. Bit of handball by Gary Mackay. So maybe a really late opportunity for Celtic from this free kick with McNamara hoisting it in. Rousset's starting position was well off his line. Quick kick from the Frenchman, but well read by John Hughes. Donnelly. Grant. Now Boyd. Robertson being tugged back by Boyd. And still, referee Clark reluctant to take us to the extra half an hour.
I can't understand why they don't just blow the whistle now. I mean, it looks like we've got extra time coming. Probably both teams deserve to go into extra time, so the referee as well conserving some of the players' energy.
Manus takes. Well, Celtic, with a look of the side, prepared to take as long as it takes. But Jim Jeffries can be very pleased with his side to reach this point after a goalless 90 minutes, particularly after the sending off in the second half of Stefano Salvatore. The Hearts have really played with great gusto in front of their enthusiastic fans, and it's still possible for them as the players collect their wits for the extra 15 minutes each way. We'll hand you back for a moment to the thoughts of Paul Dempsey and his panel.
Thanks very much to Martin Tyler, a well-earned breather for our two commentators at Tynecastle. Do stay with us. You do feel that there's yet more drama to unfold here. The possibility, of course, of penalties should extra time not produce a firm result either way. Charlie Nicholas and Steve Archibald watching with me in the studio. Charlie, how disappointed will Celtic be not to have actually hammered home an advantage in the second period?
They'll be disappointed, but they haven't passed the ball as well as they would like at times. And the final ball in from crossing situation, in particular tonight, Jackie McNamara and Stuart Gray when he was on, they weren't really getting quality in. They've had one good cross from Peter Grant towards the end there, but Pierre Van Hooijdonk nearly scores.
Let's remind ourselves of that while we
It's a great cross, good depth, knocked back by Andy Tom, and as I think Martin quite rightly said in commentary, you watch the experienced Andy Thorne here, just enough presence not to get any power in the header. That was good defending.
Steve Archibald, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, it's similar to Charlie, but I think an awful lot of credit's got to be given to Hearts. They've worked very, very hard in this game, and they take all the credit out of the situation, especially now with 10 men down. They're working, I think, on adrenaline, and no matter what happens now, they'll take an enormous amount of credit from the game.
Steve, Jim Jeffries' face was a picture at the time of the sending off of Salvatore. This, first up, the first half booking that he picked up.
Yeah, it was late tackle and it's a booking, no doubt about it. But Salvatore, he worked very hard in the game also, made a large contribution to the Hearts' effort, and maybe was just a touch over-enthusiastic. But that went all through the team. The whole team were wound up for the game, and Salvatore just epitomised it.
Second bookable offence, the one that resulted in the sending off.
He'll be disappointed. You see, he's just stuck a leg out there. He knows he's beaten, and his experience should have told him not to stick the leg out. Ball's not in a dangerous area. There's somebody coming to his back to cover it. It was a bad booking, and he'll be very disappointed with that.
And Jim Jeffries at the time was even more disappointed with him, wasn't he?
Jim, I think, was... you could read everything that was going through his mind was in his face, absolutely.
A word about Andy Thorne's effort. We were just looking at him there, Charlie.
Yeah, he's done tremendously well. We said earlier in the game, he looked a little bit heavy, which you would expect being out of first-team football. But he's been fully committed to the cause tonight. He's obviously looks, you can tell by his face, he looks as if he's thoroughly enjoying it. And he's been absolutely outstanding for Hearts. And I think, again, he looks as if he's been playing with Dave McPherson for a long time here. Good combination, they've done well together.
I think that's the question there is experience. He's good experience. Jim Jeffries has known exactly what he's doing, and it's a terrific move.
Steve, why have Hearts been able to nullify Celtic, even though they've had a man-short second half?
As I said before, they're on adrenaline, and I think that the Hearts, not just the players, but their fans as well, and the whole club feel that the world is against them, and so they're all sort of on that adrenaline kick. The fans as well, got the players wound up, they've got the momentum going. They sorted Celtic out in the first half, closing them down early, and the momentum's kept going throughout the game.
Right, we've had the toss for extra time, 30 minutes more to come live from Tynecastle. Let's get back to Gordon Smith and Martin Tyler.
Well, thank you, Paul. These sort of scenarios, the stuff of legends, really, if Hearts could produce something power-packed, if They've got their power in their own pack, so to speak, to keep going a man light for the extra half an hour and record a famous victory. Might even take penalties, of course. And Gordon Smith and I intrigued by the contest here. And I think both of us, Gordon, just a little feeling that Celtic came here with a certain state of mind and haven't really been able to get out of it. And as we've stressed on a couple of occasions during the 90 minutes, it's fine if you go on to win. If you don't...
Well, the thing about the way the game's going now, Hearts are going to get all the plaudits, no matter who wins. If Celtic, even if Celtic win, Hearts get all the plaudits tomorrow. But if they can go and win with 10 men at this stage now, all these players are going to be heroes in Edinburgh and all over Scotland.
And all over Britain, watching our pictures.
All over Britain, exactly.
Tom. Here's Grant. Not one to panic, and he gets it forward with good accuracy again. Goss had 45 minutes in a reserve game on Saturday. You want to take it steadily with Jeremy Goss to make sure he gets maximum fitness. He's got to go the extra mile here tonight. Canio. Di Canio. Two turns. In the end, he strikes it with his left foot. Not particularly impressively. Weariness will obviously become a factor for Celtic as well, despite their numerical advantage.
Yeah, it was a dreadful strike, wasn't it? He opened up the goals really well for himself there, a bit like the way Gascoigne tends to do on the edge of the box, turns defenders inside out, and then taking onto his left foot there. Already with Van Hooijdonk up front, you can see Celtic more positive there. He came off the back players, laid the ball off, and the attack was further up the field. So that's a more positive sign, and it means that Andy Thorne will have to work even that bit harder now in extra time to try and contain Celtic.
He's working on his relationship with the Hearts fans. Hughes. And Tom. Well read, but he's twisted an ankle.
He could be off as well. Peter Grant already got the yellow card.
Got booked early in the game. And it is 10 aside now. 3 minutes into extra time. Grant steaming in. But did he get the ball as well as Thorne?
I'm not sure if he did. He had that heavy challenge before, the one he was booked for. But certainly he was going for the ball there. But just a little bit late, caught the player. I see him going in there. I mean, there's not a lot in that. He's made contact, but there's no doubt about it, Peter Grant. He could maybe be booked for reckless play rather than deliberate foul play there on that occasion. But as a heavy challenge, Thorne has taken the brunt of it. But as I mentioned earlier on, Mark, there's always this tendency from referees when a player's been set up on one side to take an opportunity, if they can find it, to even things up. And that's exactly what's happened there. Peter Grant was running the risk, so like any of the other players we mentioned tonight, he should have been careful, considering he's already got a yellow card.
Now let's turn our thoughts to Andy Thorne, who came here to help out Jim Jeffries. And it is maybe the shortest of short-term arrangements, possibly just for the one match. And he won't want to go home with an injury that might interfere with his chances of taking up the reins of his career in England. But I have to say he's made a pretty quick recovery.
Yeah, interesting game too now. There'll be more space, players getting tired. We could see chances getting made now if both teams remain positive about it.
So Salvatore Tory sent off inside the 90 minutes. And early in extra time, the count evened by the departure of Peter Grant. Now Celtic really are on their mettle. Vaughan's there again. McCann. And number 11 possesses the other, and Cadete, who's been pretty much on the periphery of this particular cup tie, working for the ball himself.
Very quiet game he's had. He drills in a good shot with power, but it's a very, very difficult angle. It takes a really, something a bit special to score from that sort of angle and range. But Cadete's desperate, I think, to do something in the match. But he is a type of player I've seen before who can go out the game for quite a long spell and then suddenly deliver that killing blow. He's always a threat. If he gets the right sort of ball in the box, he could, play his part yet.
Just hit too long by Cameron from McCann. So my friends in Portugal tell me that Cadete is much needed back in the national team again. They had a poor result against Armenia in their first international earlier this month, first international of the season. And Cadete wasn't involved. He might well get the call next time the squad is selected. Van Hooijdonk. From Boyd, Di Canio. This match really in the melting pot now. Van Hooijdonk, Tom, and Rousseau read it. Well, who's got the stamina, who's got the strength? Perhaps more than any other occasion during the evening, have the chance to have a go at Celtic.
Imagine that the ones who played on Saturday when they were down to 7 players and have had to play for a long spell tonight with 10. They must be the ones that are feeling it most. It's just a question whether they can keep going and find that energy and stamina. The occasion sometimes makes a difference, Martin. That's the thing that keeps the players going.
It's like McCann, and well, he's got youth on his side. Gary Mackay, less so.
Won't thank you for that.
Flag was up. Charlton was one of those taken off towards the end at Ibrox, and he didn't quite go the full distance. Di Canio. Can Celtic carve out something here? With Donnelly, McNamara.
Donnelly's not been in the game much since he came on as a substitute, and I thought he should have taken his first touch there towards goal rather than away from it, because although he was able to lay the ball back for McNamara, put McNamara under so much pressure there to get the shot in early that he just didn't hit it well at all. But Donnelly's taken up a midfield role. He's normally played, last season played most of the time wide in the right and did very well there, but this season, the introduction of Di Canio and Cadete in the team, he's found his appearances have been very limited.
Which is the old argument about bringing in foreign players and now no restrictions on them. Harms the homegrown talent. Up to Simon Donnelly really now, particularly an opportunity like this, to say I deserve to be in the team. We're looking for the goal that might settle this Coca-Cola Cup quarter-final. Marky Mackay. Di Canio's touch is usually better than that. Easiest ball to control. Goss. Robertson is just trying to take cues on the inside. Tom. Now Donnelly. Nothing much to the right. Van Hooijdonk's gone there now. Cadete through the middle, but not able to control it. Rather typical of his evening. John Robertson keeps jumping.
Yeah, not much chance with those sort of balls up to him. But he's had to live with that for years, John Robertson, the sort of service he gets at times. Just not quite what he'd want.
Who's going to seize the initiative here and seize the place in the semi-final? Maybe it'll take penalties. I see more and more kids now, our own children's school playground practicing. I say, what you're doing, we're having penalty shootouts. What they've seen on the television. Do they think that's the way the game's played these days?
Great pastime now. I'm just wondering whether, you know, even John Robertson, whether he's staying on so long, because he's somebody that will be required for the penalties. He's the penalty specialist, and you know, you think that the last thing they want to do is take a man out who normally scores the penalties for them. So although he's tiring, it looks like he might have to stay on the full match.
Adeta is still a while away from that particular solution to this particular conundrum. Canio. Using Boyd as a decoy and just holding on to the ball until his shirt was being held by McManus. Timmy Burns will be thinking about another change. Dane Morton Weghorst has a possibility to come on. And Steve Fulton, of course, began with Celtic. Will be coming on to play against them. Van Hooijdonk. Well, that was a magnificent try. From our angle, it looked as though it might well have bent inside the far post, and Rousset had to turn it away for safety.
I think that was definitely going in, Martin. Going in that far corner, Rousset did exactly the right thing there, getting his hands to pushing it away. But Van Hooijdonk is willing to try his luck from everywhere tonight. Gary Mackay going off to tremendous, rapturous applause. He deserves it. He's worked really hard. Had a tremendous game in that midfield area, and ex-Celt Steve Fulton on now to go and work in these last remaining minutes to try and hold out, or at least maybe even get forward and get a goal.
Straight away, Fulton's first touch to clear the corner. Naismith. Very well indeed. He might have to take a penalty. Marky Mackay. Donald. 20 minutes to go to half-time in extra time. Still on the knife edge of Tynecastle. Canio. Well, who hit the nail on the head last time, Gordon, when I was trying to be polite about his shooting? I'll leave it to you again.
I think that's a tiredness sign, actually, Martin, because what happens is you try and put more power into it because you're tiring, and you end up skying the ball. It's a sure sign of it. He's worked hard, the Canio, in the forward sense when they've been on the ball, and dribbling does take a lot out of you, but he may be turning. He may be the one that Celtic was thinking about replacing at this stage.
So Morten Weghorst, who also took part in last season's Coca-Cola Cup final with Dundee, left shortly afterwards to join his present club. And it's Andy Tom who goes off.
Surprise to me there, Tom, also a player who very, very dangerous when he can get into forward areas. Okay, he's had quite a quiet spell in this extra time, but the Canio does look as if he's tired.
Here's Goss. Good movement by Cameron. And it was McCann trying to get to the cross. Marshall didn't really deal with that decisively. Jeremy Goss, he's a noted volleyer of a football. Remember one or two special goals in his time at Norwich City.
Yeah, somebody who has scored special goals. It was a good deep cross to the back post there, and this is a surprise to me that Gordon Marsh decided to punch there. I mean, it's John Robertson who's underneath him. He's not going to be challenged in the air for it, and he could have taken the pressure right off his defence just by catching it.
I wouldn't look too much wrong with that. He just turned as he played the ball away from Cameron. Free kick given to Hearts. Naismith. Cameron. And the whistle goes for the offside. It might well go for the change around any second. A significant incident in extra time, the departure of Peter Grant. Red carded. Cameo. Well, he does look shot.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of talent as well. They always say the first thing it goes when you get tired, your skill. And, you know, he's not looking as sharp as he was in the early part of the game. Maybe he just needs a bit of a rest and to come back into it. But, you know, in the first half, he was so sharp, turning players and getting the space to get his crosses in and his shots. And we've already seen early signs that, you know, this has been a hard match for him. And yet, Andy Tom was the one who was taken off.
It's a quick turnaround, and it's a Coca-Cola Cup quarter-final. When you really could put your money on either side, it's very, very difficult to predict the outcome now. It's down to sheer determination, the ability to go the distance, and maybe in the end, the ability under pressure to put the ball away from a penalty kick.
Exactly. Hearts has shown tremendous guts and willingness to battle with Celtic. Celtic have the more talented players. There's no question of that. You just have to look through the ranks of the tennis side at the moment and see that Celtic have all the qualities required to win this match. But that sometimes isn't enough. Skill alone isn't enough to win all cup ties. And Hearts have shown many other qualities and stuff that actually, you know, can win these sort of matches, even if it does have to go to penalties.
Thrust of the second period of extra time comes from Celtic attacking the end, behind which they've got a couple of thousand frantic fans who would have hoped that this would have been wrapped up before now. Weghorst. And Thorne was struggling to get to it. Donnelly! Oh my goodness, it took another deflection. Rousset was left perplexed by the line of the shot after that.
It's a good strike as well. Thorne did well to control the initial, and Cadeti just touched it back, and Donnelly really struck that hard, just clipped the side of one of the Hearts players. I think it was Thorne as well who was out to make the challenge.
Yes, Andy Thorne didn't give it up. Corner by McNamara. Nice little flick by Van Hooydonk. Unlucky.
That was very unlucky. Almost squeezed it through there between the three Hearts players to Cadeti who was coming in.
Another McNamara corner. Away well by McPherson. Watson struggling to hold it up. Got enough energy just to flail a boot at the ball. Cadeta dropping it in behind Naismith, but he wasn't to be passed. A true fight to the finish here at Tynecastle. McNamara, off the goalkeepers. Goss. Our programme is, of course, running late because of the extra time here. Sports Centre to come. And after the action finishes at Tynecastle, we'll show you the goals from Dundee against Aberdeen. Action, I can promise you, not to be missed. And another of the Coca-Cola Cup quarter-finals. A rerun of last year's final, of course.
So a lot of tired, sorry, Martin, a lot of tired players out there now. You can just see it in the faces and, you know, running on adrenaline, most of them. And it even becomes a very nerve-wracking experience when it gets to even penalty kicks when you have to take them when you're tired, because I've seen so many occasions a few missed with players who normally would go and finish them.
Deep-Horst. McNamara trying to stay onside. He's looked along the line and done that well. Still McNamara. Settled for the corner. Out comes Hughes. Laps now. And it could all be over. One moment of inspired play as well. Robertson trying to trigger a Hearts break. Canio's found a little bit of extra energy from somewhere. There's no excuse for Deep-Horst to be tired. That was just a clumsy touch.
His initial look at Cadete was as if it was his fault, but the ball was overstruck there. It was the right idea, though. Cadete had made the run outside him, and if he had delivered the right sort of pass, Cadete could have gone on there and either fired it across goal or had a shot at goal himself.
Well, Celtic, when the draw was made, this was a tricky tie for them, make no mistake about it. Away in Edinburgh, all the passion of Tynecastle. Robertson, he scored! Hearts have got a goal here. In heroic circumstances. And that arch-opportunist, John Robertson, has struck it.
There's a lot of space around that Celtic defence. Lovely pass from Fulton there. The cover came across, well squeezed in by McCann, and Robertson got the power on it. Marshall got a hand to it, couldn't stop it. That's a great ball in from McCann there. Robertson steadied himself brilliantly, let it run across him, just gave himself the space, and still the power left. He's tired in this match. We wonder if he might be taken off. Fantastic finishing. If anything's going to lift Hearts and keep them going to the end of this match, that's the thing. But we'll have to see more from Celtic now. They've got to come in force, and in their time, Celtic have scored an awful lot of late goals.
Miscue from Thorne. I was about to say that when this tie came out of the hat, it was a tricky tie for Celtic. Circumstances since then, before tonight, certainly made them strong favourites. Hearts have battled away with wonderful gallantry, and now they lead. And there are 10 minutes left, a long 10 minutes for Jim Jeffries. That's Fulton who set up the goal, preventing any chance of an equaliser there. What must Tommy Burns be feeling? His team have not really sparked at all. Donnelly, now they've got to be ignited somehow or they're out.
A momentous night for them so far. I mean, everything's going their way now. And that was good goalkeeping as well. Russi coming, taking that ball up to his highest point, taking the pressure off the defence. Tommy Burns, not a lot left in his locker room to change things. He's only got McLaughlin left there to bring on. He might think about doing it, but at this stage, the game running away from Celtic, they've got to put in a lot of pressure in these last few minutes. Get the ball in the box, get the ball into Van Hooydonk's head, hope to get the bits round about him in the box and get the chances to get the equaliser.
Hearts back off. Boyd. Van Hooijdonk, McPherson doggedly following. Boyd chases on. Out comes Rousset. There's a real race here, and the goalkeeper was taken down. And Boyd's going to be booked.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more of frustration and despair rather than any badness about it. Rousset was always favourite to it, and Tommy Boyd getting in with a late shot. I don't think he can have any complaints, but you can imagine how the Celtic players are feeling at this stage. They haven't had a good night at all, weren't playing well from the first moment. I think they gave Hearts a lot of initiative.
Now, Jordan there, sorry to cut across you, but Van Hooydonk's had a say, and he's been booked as well.
Yeah, lots of frustration coming out now. Celtic fans very muted at this moment. The scarves are waving all around the stadium. The Hearts fans are enjoying this greatly. I'm sure they came along here tonight fearing the worst and hoping for the best, most of them, but it could have been a much better occasion than this for them.
Well, there are signs here that Celtic might disintegrate almost as badly as Hearts did on Saturday. There's a need for composure to maximise the use of what little time there is left to try and somehow pull it out of the fire here. John Robertson, who has scored so many goals for Hearts, 249 now, but surely this as valuable as any in the past, given the circumstances of this particular fixture and what it would mean to Hearts to win it. Not just the progress into the semi-final, but to re-establish their reputation, their credentials at the highest level of Scottish football. But Celtic have a free kick. Van Hooijdonk. Well, he gave it absolutely everything.
Yeah, that was a ball that had to be held, Martin, wasn't it? Fired in there hard and low. If it spills off, Brucey, what the first half did, and the Celtic players were onto it, he was lucky to get away with that, but that is a difficult one to take. It's down low, almost a carbon copy of the bad goal they lost in last year's Scottish Cup final.
Naismith. Well, it's got up from Hughes, a miss kick to find Van Hooijdonk. They look for a runner on the right-hand side, there's no one. And Naismith knocks it long. Naismith's headed out, only drops for Donnelly. Can't scramble it away. One eye on the ball, one eye on the clock. They mustn't get distracted if they're going to round it off here in rousing fashion. Here's Di Canio. McNamara. Goalkeeper can't go for this one, and Hooijdonk can. He's touching at straws, I think. Calling for a penalty there. Just looking at Andy Thorne. He is running on empty.
I think a few of them are. I mean, Van Hooijdonk here is under challenge there. Thorne did well just to go up there. I don't think there was any claim in McPherson helping out.
And that was a jarring challenge from a player who has been booked, Hughes.
Well, with John Hughes, no quarter asked, none given. Wholehearted player there and making the challenge. Brucey is doing well at this stage of the game. He's taking the pressure off his team 2 or 3 times already, just taking crosses. They look like simple crosses to take, but he has to hold on to them. He took that great save as well, that clutch from the shot from Van Hooijdonk. As long as Hearts can continue to fight like this in the remaining minutes, then they're going to be home and dry.
Goss. Cadete. Celtic fighting for their Coca-Cola Cup lives, and at least in the short term for their reputation. Fulton. Flags up against Robertson, and something's gone here. Maybe a calf. Cramp. Could be cramp. Let's hope it's only cramp, because we'll be able to pull the toes up and hopefully keep going. He's earned cramp.
Yeah, certainly has.
Well, no words of praise too high for Hearts here, but Celtic, a side that you expect strong starts from. They've got a reputation for that. Well, they started slowly tonight, probably to the astonishment of Jim Jeffries. And I think Gordon Smith and I feel that an opportunity to take the initiative straight away was squandered, and if it stays this way, they're going to pay a heavy price for that.
Yeah, I think that'll be the after-match analysis of it, that Celtic started low-key and then couldn't switch on the button that would get them going in this match. And Hearts got a lot of encouragement from Celtic playing that way and from their contribution to the game as well.
It's Donnelly. It's Rousset just from the foot of Kadate.
Great work there from Donnelly. Lovely little turn on the edge of the box just to fire that ball in. Good save by Rousset.
.90 seconds plus any time added on. Here comes Celtic again. That will do for Dave McPherson and for Hearts. Gordon, tell us your man of the match.
Yeah, I've chosen young guy Naismith. There's a lot of claims for it. Different players like Robertson is a fantastic game. McPherson, Thorne himself are the experienced guys, but I think a young lad at 17 deserves to come in a match like this and play as well, deserves it.
Celtic still searching for the equaliser in the few seconds that remain. And to take it to a penalty shootout. An extraordinary evening in Edinburgh. And it hasn't finished yet. Thorne got it. Just. And Jeremy Goss hoists it away. It'll take a few more seconds to retrieve here. Oh, I don't think it went out of play. And, ball boy there, very carried away. It's got to be restarted with a drop ball. Well, it's understandable in these circumstances. We're all getting carried away. Because Celtic might be going home here with their tails very much between their legs. It is now stoppage time at the end of extra time, and John Robertson's goal. Van Hooijdonk didn't get there. Thorne called upon again.
Good defending, Martin. Had to be one at the back post. Van Hooijdonk coming onto it. You can see the threat he puts in. Thorne doing really well to get that away.
In from Vicario. Oh, and Rousset doesn't have to reach it, but it's another corner.
Not sure he touched that there. A few Hearts players claiming they didn't, and certainly Rousset was.
It was the goalkeeper. No, it certainly wasn't, was it? Maybe he thought it hit a Hearts head in that original challenge. That's Cadete. And the Marshal has come up as well, and he's now trying to scamper back, but it's over. A truly astonishing victory for Heart of Midlothian. Very depleted, but far from deflated. They've channeled all their emotion in the right direction tonight. And they've sent Celtic out of the Coca-Cola Cup against considerable odds. John Robertson with the goal in the second period of extra time, by which time the game was 10 aside. Hearts had lost a player earlier in the evening, Salvatore. Then Peter Grant went off for Celtic. Quite phenomenal. Hearts 1, Celtic 0.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
As the First Division sparks into life, new young talent is emerging.
What a smashing goal!
While old favourites are still shining. Now, Ipswich and Charlton aim to show the qualities required to fire themselves into the Premiership. Friday night football this Friday at 7 live on Sky Sports 3. Just part of a great weekend of football on Sky.
My name is Sonny Moreira, and I was the Lunar Roving Vehicle Project Manager for NASA. I remember when we were designing it, we knew it had to be aluminum, incredibly strong, yet 60% lighter than steel. It wasn't very luxurious, and it cost them $40 million. And that's when $40 million was a lot of money. Yeah, aluminum cars have come a long way since the space age.
Right, well, I'll just order that for you. 10.
This shipping agent makes 30 calls to America every week. So here's the good news.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, dear. Sorry.
Are you sure you're cut out for this, Rory?
Starting October the 8th, a 5-minute weekday call to the USA and Canada, which used to cost £1.98, is cut by 25% to just £1.49.
Sam, now, where were we?
And with BT's business discounts, you can get it down to £1.09. Call 0800 800 800 for your savings checkup.
I hate paying over the odds. I rang the AA for some home insurance. It didn't cost as much as I thought. Makes a change. AA home insurance cost less than I thought.
Call direct on 0800 444 777. This man has a distressing medical condition. His condition is dandruff. His treatment is Nizoral dandruff shampoo, because Nizoral has a patented ingredient that targets and prevents the main cause of dandruff. Nizoral dandruff shampoo, first aid for dandruff.
Miss Selfridge, clothes to wear out more, now wear out less with Ariel. For impeccable clothes, Miss Selfridge only recommend Ariel.
He was expecting success.
This is the worst day of my life.
Instead, an old flame, Meredith Johnson, is his new boss.
Oh, no. She said you sexually harassed her.
I struggled with him. I messed up.
He didn't know they'd thrown away the rules.
This is a goddamn bomb we're sitting on.
Now he's nothing left to do but fight.
You're setting me up.
Demi Moore.
You have no idea what you're up against.
Michael Douglas.
We'll see.
Disclosure. Premiere soon on Sky Movies.
Littlewoods, supporters of Scottish football.
Famous night at Tynecastle for the home side. Heart of Midlothian have done plenty to restore their credibility with this victory over Celtic in the Scottish Coca-Cola Cup, 4th round. A couple of the chief protagonists here, the goal scorer and a youngster who's turned out man of the match. They're talking to Davy Provan.
John, let me come to you first, because you told me this midweek that you would score the winner in the 115th minute. You're 5 minutes late. Do you realise that?
I'm sorry, Davey. I'm getting a bit older now. My time is out, but a tremendous one for us.
Nobody gave you a chance. The media gave you no chance. The bookmakers had Celtic at 7-2 on to win tonight. Did the Hearts players believe they could do it?
Of course we did. I mean, OK, we're 4 men out, and they're big players for us. But when you've got the quality kids like this coming in, he didn't look out of place tonight. He's playing against DeCanio. And he gave him a great show. The players out there knew. We've got to thank Andy Thorne coming in at last gasp, tremendous. But that shows you what happens when the media and people get against you. Sometimes it can work in your favour.
OK, I'm sure you'll enjoy watching the goal again. It was possibly the best chance you had in a match, was it not?
Yeah, it was a good wee bowling for Fergus. I've been giving him stick, and I had cramp. I was just determined to get it on target. Struck it well in the back of the net. Good night.
Gary, how did it look from where you were?
Brilliant, absolutely delighted. I took the cramp chasing him to celebrate. Great goal. Great one side for Fergus and a great finish.
Well, yours is a remarkable story, Gary. When did you realise you were going to be playing in this match?
When the manager read the team out about 7 o'clock tonight.
Did the older players help you out there?
Andy Thorne was brilliant, Gary Mackay and me, Robbo. They were the three that kept me going. Felt my legs tiring towards the end, but it was him. Kept me going, told me to concentrate, and I enjoyed it.
Well done. Any reason that Hearts can't go on to win this now, John?
Every reason. There's still 4 teams left in the tournament. I think our record in semis in the past, we get the lesser-known teams and we keep getting beat. So, you know, maybe we're better coming up against the likes of Rangers, and we can lift our performance again and show that we can compete with 11 men on the park.
OK, lads, well done. You're due this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a difference a few days can make. Just to remind you, the Sports Centre with all the results to follow. And a big night of cup football in England and Scotland, and the Footballers' Football Show still to come also on Sky Sports 1 tonight. Steve Archibald and Charlie Nicholas have watched proceedings at Tynecastle with me tonight. Steve, this goal that won it, John Robertson has been a magnificent servant for Hearts, and it's a nice way of turning the story round to see that Robertson is the man who leads Hearts onto a better footing tonight.
Yeah, Robbo's, he's just got this touch. He's a natural goal scorer. He knows where to be. Look at him peeling off a defender. He knows that's where the space is. The ball's got to be good. It's delivered. As he said before, he just concentrated on striking it, and then it goes. Superb night for him, momentous night for Hearts Football Club. Couldn't have been predicted.
Magnificent from the Hearts' point of view. Charlie, from Celtic's point of view, this has now been a very bad 7 days. Defeating the UEFA Cup last week, and then this, which blocks off another potential route back into Europe, of course. Still.
Yeah, it's a disappointing result. I think the main thing that will disappoint them is I don't think their top players really performed to any real form tonight. I would accept Pierre Van Hooijdonk out of that. I thought second half and in extra time, Pierre did everything he could to get Celtic going. But the other three, I just don't think they hit any form, and that started from kick-off.
Celtic, big casualties tonight. So too the holders, Aberdeen. Here's what happened in their game tonight at Dens Park against Dundee. Paul Tosh putting Dundee in front on 35 minutes. So that was a shock for the holders. And Aberdeen had to work very, very hard to get back into it. Penalty incident. Dodds it was who was brought down there by Thompson, the Dundee keeper, and Dodds himself from the spot. His 12th of the season to level it at 1 apiece. Now on form you'd have said Aberdeen would go on and win it from here, but they went down to 10 men when Dean Windass was sent off for that challenge, a second bookable offence. That was on 74 minutes. For a foul on the veteran Chick Charnley. And as Windass went off, the game turned in favour of the home team. The last minute, James Hamilton getting into the box, and that goal sends the holders Aberdeen out along with Celtic tonight. What did you make of that?
Delighted for Jim Duffy. They made the final last season. They've had a bit of a hard start to this season. We lost a lot of players last season. So great for him and his youngsters.
Aberdeen have had a tremendous start to the season in domestic terms, Steve, but that will be a blow to them just as it is for Celtic tonight.
Yeah, it's possible they could have gone to Dundee thinking that it was going to be an easier night than it was, and were caught out. The goalkeeper would be disappointed letting that ball under his body.
Another Premier against First Division clash in the Cup tonight in Scotland. This one coming at East End Park, Dunfermline against Partick Thistle. Jerry Britton on target in the first half for the home team here. In fact, that was in the second half, and the clinching goal for Britain, getting in free on goal here, and that made it Dunfermline 2, Partick Thistle 0. So Dunfermline also into the lineup for the semi-finals. Wonder who they'll get in the semi-final. Back to Tynecastle, the victorious manager of Hearts, Jim Jeffries, is talking to Davy Provan.
Jim, against all the odds, Hearts are through to another semi-final. Do you think that result was just about right over the piece?
Well, as I say, things happened at the weekend there, and we came to put the record right tonight. And you know, when you consider that we played most of the second half with 10 men, all you can ask is your boys go out and give 110%, and that's what they did tonight. And you know, it was always going to be that one goal. There was very little between the teams on the night, and tremendous goal, tremendous pass for Steele Fulton, and then Neil McCann knocking it inside. And Robbo, you know, that's him coming up with the goal again. But you've got to admire the boys at the back. The Arundis come in tonight and did a superb job for us, particularly as things went at the weekend. So we're really delighted, and it's lifted everybody at the club, and it's great to be heading back at least to Hampden for a semi-final, and hopefully we'll try and get there for the final again.
Andy, you look as if you're feeling the effects of it. How did you enjoy it out there?
It was a nice one to come into, wasn't it? Nice, easy, slow pace. I can't wait to go and see what Edinburgh's like of an evening now.
Are you going to be here long enough for the semi-final?
Well, I go back in the morning, so no. But I'm not sure. I mean, we've only just, the boys are really happy in the dressing room, and it's not about me coming on playing. It's about them, you know. As the gaffer said, their results Saturday, you know, they were looking to come back with something tonight, and full credit to everyone. You know, they rolled their sleeves up and done a good job.
Well done, Andy, and well done, Jim. Thanks, lads.
Thanks, David.
Let's hope he enjoys Edinburgh. Maybe his first trip. How much has that restored Hearts' credibility, do you think, tonight, Steve?
Immensely. I thought they were outstanding from the first whistle till the end, and they did everything and take all the credit from the game. Absolutely, no question about it.
The future doesn't look all that bright right now for Celtic, Charlie.
Well, I don't know. They are a very exciting team. I think they'll push Rangers all the way in the title. There's no doubt about that. It's just at times there has been problems filling in this midfield and defensive role because of the 4 attacking players, and sometimes it becomes a little burden. But Celtic, I think, will always play the same way. It'll always be exciting. But tonight, it just didn't go, as I said earlier, other than I thought Big Pierre.
All right, Charlie, thanks very much for your company. So too to you, Steve
Pleasure.
Archibald.
Thank you.
Hope very much you've enjoyed the football. We kept you a little longer than we planned to, but it got better, I think you'll agree. The longer it went, the closing headlines then from Scotland, Dunfermline and Dundee are through, and Hearts' credibility truly restored. Celtic and Aberdeen are the big casualties, and after the weekend they've had, Hearts, long on heart, have done it tonight. Bye for now.